But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday night, which of course is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things we shouldn't talk about? Those verboten things, you may ask, you may wonder. There's too much, so I can't explain, so let me sum up. It goes a little something like this. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, this conversation is ongoing. This has been coming up in April. Like I said, I'm very proud of this. 4 years of Troubled Minds. That's a long time. Like I challenged Robert out there on Rockfin, try wearing the same color socks for 4 years. It's nearly impossible. You'll eventually have one come out of the dryer and end up, whoa, this one, how did I get a pink sock? How did this happen? How did this happen? And who knows, maybe it's the iteration of the previous dryer owner. all those disappearing socks that are coming back to haunt your reality. I have no idea. But point being is that this conversation just continues. It's about all things. It's not about one thing in particular. It's about so many things because there are just so many things interesting in this world to talk about. There's a lot of things, including, we talk about technology all the time. We talk about space, and we talk about aliens and their possibility of them actually being here or having been here. We talk about all these things because, of course, right, if you don't give it energy, if you don't think about these things sort of in the term of, maybe this could be true or maybe that could be true, then, of course, I think we're stunting our growth. We're stunting our growth as humans. We're stunting our growth as a civilization. And I think that if we just sit around on our thumbs and wait for science to validate everything, we may be waiting a long time. And in many cases, especially when we're talking about the search for alien life and things like this, there's been lots of people who claim they've seen these things. They've seen, we've all seen lights in the sky. There's a reason you're here listening to talk radio on by dark of night or whatever's going on here, whatever you want to call this. But it's just odd. It's bizarre that we the old trust the science mantra, but then we're allowed to dream, aren't we? And I think we're definitely allowed to dream, and that's why we do this. That's why we do it in this format. That's why we do this to include you as really part of this discussion that's ongoing, wide-ranging, all aspects of just life, how to live it, and I don't know those answers, of course, but I think the discussion is the important part here. If you ask the right questions, I don't think you need the right answers, because the questions themselves are sometimes illuminating, and I mean that in the most non-Illuminati way, if you know what I'm saying. So what we do again? This show's about you. I have no inside sources. The secret weapon of troubled minds is you, and so as a result of that, we've had so many good conversations on this show over the years. Met so many amazing people. Reading all the chat and all the places, just so many brilliant thoughts out there. That again, right now, I always say this: like this is a show for the everyday person. This is not a show where you have to be Linda Moulton Howe or Richard Dolan or somebody that wrote a book, or if you are, that's fine. You can write books and you're still allowed. But the point is that, like, I think there are really, really important things to say that regular people need to say and need to have a space to say. And that's what this has always been about. I'm not special in any way. I'm just committed. That's it. I'm committed, and I don't mean like rubber room and and a straight jacket type committed. I don't mean that type of committed yet. But what I do mean is that I understand, at least within my own realm of being myself, that a conversation needs to be happening, and not just a conversation where we get along with each other. For crying out loud, that's probably one of the driving forces of Troubled Minds that began this entire show. Is that just watching the mainstream media just do all their garbage division that they do on a daily basis. It was infuriating me. It was making me very, very, very mad. And I was like, hey, look, this is not the way the rest of the world feels. Like, maybe because they're kind of stuck up in the propaganda and, caught and don't really, like, we forget that it's okay to just chill out for a second, we forget. And I think that chilling out and dreaming is an important aspect of being human. And that's why we've always done this. So to include you, and my whole point of the ramble here, and I do get criticism that I ramble a lot, but let me tell you what, this is unscripted. This is again sort of all concepts are my own on these shows. It's a lot of work, and if you want a scripted perfect podcast, I'm sorry, this is just not for you. I'm going to ramble. Unscripted, 3 hours. You're going to ramble. That's just the way it is, and that's how it is. So no apologies, but sorry. Sorry, not sorry, I guess is how you say it. So anyway, really, in what I mean to say, in my long-winded, rambly way, it is a talk show after all, that we do this to include you, and we have an open phone line, several of them, and we have an open Discord if you want to be part of the discussion, part of the show at any point tonight. Just give me a call. Dial up the phone number 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can see it right there on the stream in my bunker, the actual bunker. Everybody says they have a bunker. I've got the receipts. There it is. Proof is in the pudding. I'm in the bunker right there on the stream. You cannot deny it. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org, and you can click the Discord link there as well, which is, again, Discord's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's totally free, and it's one of those programs that brings people together. It's technology that's helping, all right? Well, we'll see for how long, because they've started some shenanigans with censorship and some other stuff. So, unfortunately, we'll see how long that lasts, but, no great thing can last forever, they say, right? But in any case, so one more time, 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. You can talk to me. Show feedback. You can tell me what you think about the topic tonight. You can, whatever. It's all good. We don't screen the calls, and as long as you're respectful to me, I will be respectful to you. It's a simple thing, and I've got a pretty good track record of that, so you don't have to be afraid. I'm not going to try and make you look like a fool and hang up on you like some of these jerks on the radio do. So that's the deal. That's where we begin, and of course we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. we are, of course, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, which is digital radio. And couple things with that. Please join the Fringe Discord as well. You can go to fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to the Fringe Discord. I'm watching the chat there, and the chat in all the other places, all those other platforms I just described. And of course, please download the Fringe app. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, and you can do that again Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And just download the app at iTunes or your Android or Apple app stores. It's completely free, and you just smash the play button. 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, you get Troubled Minds. Not to mention all the great stuff that airs on Fringe as well. So all right, here we go. Hold on to your butts, because so in terms of, like we talk about the metaverse here, we talk about the multiverse here, we talk about dream states, we talk about all of this stuff, right? And sometimes we sort of skip the obvious, and because sometimes the obvious is boring. But in this case, I don't think the obvious is so boring. I think this is so sort of that core Troubled Minds discussion of, well, technology got us here, and do you think in the next 100 years or 200 years or 300 years, technology will take us to that, well, let's say actual utopia, like that Star Trek post-scarcity type utopia? Or do you think that the technology and just the fact that we're letting the governments and the major corporations and all the rest of these jerks that are running this stuff just run us into the ground and turn what could be amazing things regarding technology into detriments to humanity? And that's just basically the core of the conversation tonight. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to go through and talk about, but the basic question is this as we start, all right, is regarding technology. Obviously, it's what would you call it? A double-edged sword, as they say, all right? And regarding that, there are many, again, technological advances that have put us where we're at, and on the edge of this knife, because things could go sour, things could go bad here. There's a lot of things that are sort of happening with CRISPR, with the metaverse, with mental health regarding the media, all kinds of stuff out there that is just like really just pervasive in let's say not creating a good space for people. It's just not. Yeah, there you go. Tim has it right in the chat. It's amazing how many things are weaponizable, and I couldn't agree more. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So the first question is this. All right, I'm going to get into some of the things that I think, and you know me, I've got lots of time to ramble because that's what I do. I'm a rambling man. But the thing is this, right? So regarding all of this, like sort of startling or jarring, concerning developing technology, what do you think is in your, let's say, top two, just your top two? What are the things that have you most concerned regarding technology and the way it's developing? Not just with weaponizing everything like Tim just said there in the chat, but also in the sense of, like I described, maybe the media, mental health, social media, things like this. Like there's so many things that are really just full speed ahead that, like, again, is sort of like the whole Jurassic Park concept of, like we never stopped to ask whether we should. We were just so obsessed with could we do it? And we're doing it. But is it always a good thing? And so the question I have for you tonight is twofold. A couple questions, right? First, if you have a major concern, and again, this show is not doom. I'm not saying the end of the world is nigh. Please don't take me wrong. I approach this with a glass half full mentality, in that if we got us here, we can get ourselves out. All right. I truly believe that humans have proved resilient, brilliant, and more than that, as well as all the terrible things you can say about people as well. So if we got us here, I think we can get us out, and that's just the way it is. So don't take this wrong as a doom and gloom, the end is nigh type of thing. It's not happening, all right? Not in my opinion, not at all. But if you have a concern about a particular growing technology, something that maybe is in the infancy of its developments, or anything that's, let's say, you can say social media, you can say how the media has been allowed, even government, whatever this is with governing people or governing just all the rest of this. Anyway, basically, what is the thing that concerns you most? We hear a lot about artificial intelligence. We hear about CRISPR. We hear about like all this stuff, genetically modified organisms, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi. There's so many things that are happening all at the same damn time. So if you got a top two, what are they? What are the things that actually concern you the most about modern living and about technology and how it's completely just full speed ahead, right? We never stop to ask if we should. And so that's the question tonight. That's number one. What are your top two? If you have concerns about technology, what would those top two be? And then beyond that, what do you think? Are we headed down that slippery slope of, not Star Trek utopia and some sort of dark dystopian future? And that's always what's on my mind here with, you sort of see the signs, you've read 1984, Fahrenheit 451. I mean, there's so many things here that are kind of happening in real time. What about censorship? You could say censorship. There's so many things here that are troubling. All right. And welcome to Troubled Minds. So there you go. Where do you think we're headed? There are concerning things. And again, like I said, glass half full. I promise you it is not the end. But what got me thinking in these terms was I found this fantastic article on, let's see. Oops, that's not the thing I want. Let's go here. This is gizmodo.com. And I find this fascinating because they do this sometimes. You guys have seen like the History Channel. Well, they'll have like the Doomsday specials, right? And they're like, oh, the end of the world is coming. What's our biggest threat to humanity, right? Those types of discussions. But there's... They're talking to experts, right? And so they have, you've probably seen this show I'm talking about. They're all sitting around in this dark room, and it's all gloomy, and they're like, yeah, I think that AI is going to be the biggest threat to humanity because of this thing, and the other thing. And one guy's like an AI expert, and the other guy's like an a GMO expert, and another guy's like some sort of physicist. And there's like all kinds of different people. One guy's saying the water supply, another guy's saying this, another guy's saying that, right? So I'm thinking in terms of that, but we don't need experts. We don't need no stinking experts. We got the wisdom of the crowd. We got the Troubled Minds Nation behind us here. So there's no reason for experts. We don't need that stuff. But that's kind of the idea here, is that if we put our heads together and consider, well, what is probably the most concerning thing to you as an individual, to you? Don't try and cater it to the crowd. Just what do you think is most important to you? Because again, once you throw those ideas into the bucket of us, it becomes quite a bit different, and we start to maybe change each other's minds. We maybe start to learn from each other. We maybe start to communicate, and well, that's not allowed anymore, is it? At least not in a nice way. So here we go. Let's begin here. This is Gizmodo, and this is what got me thinking in these terms tonight. I know it's a little more vanilla, generic for Troubled Minds, because we're not beating the multiverse's ass tonight, or even dipping into the metaverse, unless you want to call that the emerging technology that's absolutely terrifying. But well, here we go. Let's start here. What's the most dangerous emerging technology? And this is sort of that same idea of that History Channel special where you get the experts sitting around in the dark room, sort of X-Files style, talking about, oh, by the way, it's going to be AI. It's going to be our water supply. It's going to be geoengineering. It's going to be this. It's going to be that, right? Those are the doom and glooms, right? But, well, we're talking dangerous technology here, but they're speaking in terms of this in this article, and they do it the same way, sort of the same format. They have a whole bunch of different experts in different different disciplines, and they're asking them, what do you think is the most dangerous emerging technology? And so, yeah, there you go. What's up, Cal says, oh, I better trust those experts. Yeah, exactly, right, those experts. So let's read a little bit of this, and there's a bunch of stuff here. There's some really interesting things that these people are saying, and I especially enjoy this because I like thinking just about the world we live in. I like thinking. It doesn't have to be thinking to get the answers. Like I said, if you ask them the right questions, then it's okay. That you don't have to get to the answers, in my opinion. You get close. So you ask the right questions, you get close. But here we go. Let's read some of this. What's the most dangerous emerging technology? What could go wrong? And then it says, soon we will be able to write any virus genome from scratch. Any virus genome from scratch. And I do this thing on the news show. We do a news show on Monday and Friday on Twitch, and it's just the news. It's not this. It's not long-winded and rambly. It's just like quick hit news stories that you kind of just plow through. It's just an hour-long show, and it's just maybe 12, 15, something like that news articles, right? And just kind of curating the news in my vision and what I think the news should be, instead of all the garbage propaganda we get. And I always do something on that show, and I kind of call it, well, let's file this under how could this go wrong? And so I guess that's this show tonight, sort of an embodiment of that notion. And it's funny that it says it right there in the subheadline, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? Anyway, here we go, straight from the article. Those inclined to think apocalyptically, what's up, APOC? Shout out to APOC out there, know that tech, in its purest form, spells civilization disaster. It is true that we might never see a world filled with violent, hypertrophic CRISPR babies and uncontrollable self-driving cars and AI intent on twisting humans into paperclips. And we'll get to the humans into paperclips a little bit later tonight as well. But our tech-hastened end, if and when it does arrive, will probably look a bit different and will probably suck in ways we cannot yet imagine. In the meantime, though, it's worth wondering what's the most dangerous emerging technology. For this week's Giz Asks, we reached out to a number of experts to find out. And that's what we're doing tonight. So in terms of actually the most dangerous emerging technology, that's the one to you. Again, like I said, experts will be experts going to expert, right? But you are you're an individual, and as a result, you deserve a voice just like anybody else. I don't give a damn if somebody says they're an expert or not. If they're speaking nonsense, they're still speaking nonsense, right? I don't give a damn what kind of letters you put behind somebody's name. If they're talking eugenics, they're still sick, right? So yeah, no layers of academia can make me drop my common sense and say, yeah, nothing says appeal to authority like letters behind your name. Yeah, baby. Yeah. No, come on. But this is what we're doing tonight. So in terms of this, like I said, what is the most dangerous emerging technology to you? I've got some ideas. So we'll go through some of this article tonight. I got all kinds of stuff I've pulled up, of course, as always. But the thing is this, right? To me, I think the most dangerous thing right now is probably social media. Honestly. I think because it's let's say not just in and of itself by itself, because I think in a vacuum social media will sort of do that situation like Lord of the Flies type stuff, right? Where you're going to get just kind of some nastiness and people starting fights on the internet, and like that type of stuff. That's normal, right? Like that's to be expected. But what happens is when you take social media and you exacerbate that with a division propaganda media that literally counts itself with engagement algorithms, meaning that if we're not at each other's throats, they're not making money. To me, this is an extremely dangerous thing, and I think I'm going to put that at the top of my list, even though there's all these other like extremely terrifying things going on in the world. I think the number one thing is the fact that we are no longer allowed to speak to each other with respect. And it's been planned. This is not an accident. This is not something that's an organic situation, in my opinion, at all. It's basically division everything, and they're not happy until we hate each other to the person. And that to me is the biggest. You combine those two things, and that's my number one. I'll get to some other ideas tonight and what I think is pretty dangerous as well. But like I said, it's less important what I think. I'm just a knucklehead on the internet with a microphone, right? It doesn't mean anything what I say. And always please fact check me. All my sources are always listed in the description down below. On the podcast feed, you can find all my links where I got all this information from as well. I'm not just out here making stuff up, okay? I'm saying, look, it's reported here. It said this. Somebody said this. Somebody said that. That's what we're talking about, okay? So in any case, fleshlights, what the hell are you guys talking about? All right, so again, it does not matter what I think. In the end, it matters what you think. So the question as we begin tonight is exactly this. What do you think the most concerning emerging technology is for the future of humanity? That's the question tonight. Kind of basic, but it's okay because I think that this is a conversation that needs to be had as we continue doing this on Troubled Minds. Do you want to be part of the show tonight? I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Yes. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More ever-present concern of emerging technologies and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls like every night. But tonight, we're discussing, what do you think the most concerning developing technology is for the future of humanity? And we know what the experts say. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show. But I'm less interested in what the experts say, and I'm more interested in what you say. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient with us. Let's go to Phil in Washington. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hi, Mr. Strange. This is Phil Christophers.
Hello, sir.
And I'm going to... Yeah. Hey, how are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for asking. Go right ahead.
Okay, so AI. Now, Elon Musk has come out recently, and he's talked about Isaac Asimov and the laws of robotics, the 3 laws of robotics.
Correct.
So if we implement the 3 laws of robotics on our AI and our robots, which we're not doing right now, I'm going to add, then we would not have a problem with AI. AI would be more like your Star Trek AI and, beneficial. But, DARPA, other agencies have decided, these can make excellent warriors. And now we're on that, what's that movie? Terminator. Yeah, that's the one.
Skynet, right?
Right. Which you might say Musk has got with the Skynet. Yeah.
Yeah, right. With his little satellites he's putting up there to give the world internet, right? Wink, wink. Sure, that's all that's
right.
All that's involved, I'm sure. Go ahead. What else you got, my friend?
Yeah, there's a side story on that one, but I'm not going to go into this one because it really what it boils down to is that we have to remember that the planet is conscious and the sun is conscious. And guess what the sun is? It's a big electromagnetic pulse engine, and that they can pump out a coronal field at us or a CME in the X class or higher. And boom, no more AI. And I have on some authority that that's what will happen if we go down that particular path and it turns bad.
Yeah,
so funny. I'm not too worried about the AI.
Yeah, funny you do say that. I saw this meme that was sort of like a circular meme. It was sort of like a little cartoon written in that like old school sort of fashion, but it had like exactly like you're describing, like the first mankind in the olden days worshipped the sun as the sun god, and then they eventually started worshiping technology, and then technology took over, and they were worshiping like the robots, and then the solar flare came and took out the robots, and then they began worshiping the sun again. nice circular sort of meme. But yeah, perfect. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes, man. That's what happened to Atlantis, right? It got out of control, and something happened, right? So shit gets wiped out if you go out of control, is what I would say. It seems to me, if you look back at history anyway. But the thing I really am concerned about, and seems so pernicious, is the censorship. I hate censorship. I hate it almost as much as I hate dogma. And I know as an enlightened being, I shouldn't hate anything, but I kind of don't like those two things very much. Not liking.
Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed to despise things. It's okay. But again, it depends on your intention. It depends on how you act those things out. It's all good. So, okay, I agree with you. Censorship is it's going to ruin us. It's like ideas like this. Like, again, they'll paint me in whatever conspiracy theory way they want. But like, if they really listen to what's going on here, this is an everyday conversation that should be happening all over the world. But people aren't having it because we're not allowed to, right? That's the terrible thing about it.
Right. We can't talk about certain things on this channel or you won't have it, right?
Exactly. Yep.
But the thing is that there are avenues of truth social is coming up, I think. And there are other avenues where you can be more truthful. BitChute is another example. So you can keep on, as long as we're able to communicate ideas and thoughts, I think we're going to be okay. But if they can lock us all down and nowhere can you share these ideas, then we got a big problem, because that's not when they say follow the science, that's not following the science.
No, of course not.
You have to take in all sorts of, your hypothesis has got to test out in the real world,
Yeah, and has to the science
do it all in math.
Exactly. That's the craziest part. Is it like people, they don't talk about that. Science is actually peer reviewed, which means it's supposed to stand up to scrutiny and not be censored and not allow scrutiny to even breach the conversation. That's the problem. And I agree with you. That's a serious issue we have. What else you got for us, my friend?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, deifying science, that's a pretty big fear of mine. And I kind of come from a background of science, math, being an excise tax examiner for 30 years. I'm all about the structure, right? I'm a Virgo. No, I see that we've got things are out of control. The government isn't behaving as it should. And a prime example of a problem with AI would be the machines that start with a D and end with an M, and have an O and a main in it. We've already seen how that can really mess things up. And so the censorship and the misuse of AI, I would say, are our worst bugaboos.
Okay. All right. And clearly, I'm not trying to be the doomsayer here and sell meteor juice or any of the rest of that stuff. So I always take this as a glass half full conversation. But there are concerns. There are things that we need to be discussing here, and how, like you said, I like how you brought up the Isaac Asimov and the 3 laws of robotics. Like that's the type of thing that needs to be discussed regarding AI. But the problem is that we have too many individuals and too many nation states that disagree. And to these nation states, they have the idea that supremacy in warfare is everything, and power is everything, and so we got a human problem, don't we? I think that's unfortunately probably the bottom line here.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but Mr. Singh, that's been a problem. War has been a problem with humans forever, but it's actually a galactic-wide problem, because there was 500,000 years ago, there was what they called the Orion Wars. Actually, we're just playing out those Orion Wars yet today, or we're trying to. What's going on in Russia and Ukraine? Russia is just let's face it, that portion of Ukraine that they're possibly going to take over is full of what? Russian citizens.
Yeah, and don't forget all the oil. There's a whole lot of oil there too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Russia's is not worried about oil. They've got oil. They're selling gas and oil to who? Europe, the EU. No, they're not worried about. That isn't the reason they're doing it. It's they're hearing their people are talking to them.
Gotcha.
Hey, we're being oppressed. We're being oppressed here. We want Mother Russia protect us. This is more the way I feel that's going.
I won't.
Biden is. Oops, I said his name.
Now you've done it. Now you've done it. You're allowed to say the president's name. This president, anyway. The previous president, you're not allowed to say his name.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Well, is that going to actually? Yeah, it might actually. That might be why. No. I'm trying to think why they took me off, and I can't figure out why I got taken off YouTube because. Man, their rules change almost on who they're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I say about the New World Order, right? It's like, hey, you know what? If they got no other nation states to fight, you know who the enemy becomes? You, Phil. Me, Phil. We become the enemy. Just the regular ass people. It's unfortunate.
Well, we're already the enemy. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I'm the enemy because they have. I'm going to be off of YouTube until April.
Oh, you got to strike.
No, I can't seem to avoid strikes.
So I guess this is a bad time to plug your YouTube channel. Phil here has a YouTube channel, guys. Scroll down to the very bottom of Troubled Minds on YouTube. It says Phil Christophers, and follow his YouTube channel for when he finally comes back up, if they let him back up. Phil, you're the best, brother. I appreciate it. What's your final thought, man?
I still share stuff to it. So yeah.
Okay.
Keep watching it.
Okay.
But actually, I'm on BitChute now, so come see the new stuff, the true stuff on BitChute.
There you go. I appreciate the phone call, Phil. You're the best. Phil in Washington. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for listening, bro. Thanks for the phone call.
You too, man. Take care.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. I think Phil had some good points, right? He had some good points regarding maybe the 3 laws of robotics, talking about AI, talking about this type of stuff, right? But then, of course, he kind of echoed a little bit of what I said, in that we have censorship in the media and things like this. That's it's extremely dangerous. That again, it's like. They whoop up enough consent, right? Manufacturing consent is the term, right? Is that Noam Chomsky? Who is that? I can't remember who actually coined that term. But the thing is that they get people sort of worshiping at not just the altar of science, but the altar of the state. And then as a result, no matter what they say, and this is very 1984 Orwellian in the sense that, oh, by the way, if you go afoul of the party, you're the enemy. And this is exactly what's happening now. And this is what I'm saying, that like for somebody who's a conspiracy theorist, and I'm a proud conspiracy theorist, because are you kidding me? Are you really saying that the richest people in the world don't collude with each other? And guess what? By the way, that is a conspiracy. Of course they do. That's the dumbest thing to say that they do not. Anyway, so we're talking tonight about the ever-present concern of emerging technologies. What do you think your top 2? If you got to think in terms of the future of humanity, what are the things that we should be most concerned about? I say social media. I say the press. I say this idea of division, that type of thing. Phil, AI, and censorship. So we got some good ideas bubbling up so far. Again, if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
How you doing, Michael?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. What's on your mind?
I think the most dangerous technology out there, and it exists now, is this face recognition that allows easily China to do what it's doing, what it's called social credit score. All right, you can. Nobody in the entire country can walk anywhere without these cameras. Focused on them, can recognize who they are and what they're doing. All right. That's in China, but what's scarier is now it's expanded to Canada. All right. Now they have instantly the technology that can freeze bank funds, making you unable to pay rent or even buy food, terminate driver's license and insurances, cancel mortgages, cancel internet, cancel credit histories, put you in jail, confiscate your guns, remove your kids, remove your pets and euthanize them, and erase all evidence that you ever existed.
Very Orwellian. That's straight out of 1984. You mean they could put you in the memory hole, you yourself as an individual?
Absolutely. This is absolutely 100% what's going on in China right now. Nobody escapes it. Right? If they have anything that if they show any kind of any kind of behavior that the government doesn't approve of, all these things can happen to them. Certainly, they wind up in a situation where it's like, for example, if I look at my credit score, and it's high, all right, and then suddenly, because my social credit score I got docked, just like you get docked on Facebook or YouTube, a strike. Then suddenly I don't have a credit history anymore. Right? I'm not allowed to get on a plane. I'm not allowed to leave my city. There's all kinds of things that happen if you piss off the government. All right, and it's not. It doesn't have to be something large like robbing a bank or something. It could be jaywalking.
Or donating to a cause.
Yeah. Look what they've done to those truckers in Canada. My God, they took their trucks. They're not giving them back. They're going to auction them off. All right. No trial. No criminal charges brought forward. All right. No trial. No chance to do anything. To hold on to their property to defend themselves. They've taken their pets. I'm not kidding. They took their pets, all right, and they took them to one of those humane society places. But they're up there in Canada. They only keep pets for 7 days, and if nobody adopts them, then they're euthanized. They took their pets. They did threaten during the time that the truckers were still there to actually take their kids.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying. And that's that.
Yes.
Yeah. So social credit here is exactly that. It's a way to bypass actual due process, right? That's exactly what it is. It's like, okay, fine.
Absolutely. All due process is canceled.
Yep.
All right. They've frozen their bank. Their money in the bank. They can't get any money out of their banks. They've frozen that. They're probably going to take it and steal it. They've even canceled their mortgages and canceled their driver's license and their insurances. All right. I mean, if somebody would have told me this even 10 years ago, that something like this could happen in Canada, I would have said, write the science fiction book, okay? But that's never going to happen. This is awful, what they're doing here. It shows the power of the state. It's worse than anything Putin could possibly have thought of, all right? But this is coming here. I really do think that the Great Reset, who's that guy that handles that? What's his last name? He's got that accent. What's his name?
Klaus
You know him.
Schwab. Klaus Schwab.
Yeah. I think he ordered Trudeau to do this, because Trudeau is trained in the World
Economic Forum.
Economic Forum. He was trained by them from young on up. And I think he ordered him to do that, and they told him to do that, or else he would be banned from the club. And that's all I know is I'm sitting here, and I watched all these live feeds. I watched a whole lot of them. I thought the only time I interrupt myself watching the live feeds from Canada was to watch Troubled Minds.
Yes. Thank you, Robert. That's nice.
All right. But I've seen it, and those people did nothing wrong. All right? Yeah, that was mischief. As a matter of fact, that's all they're charged with is mischief. It was just, they had parties, they fed the homeless, and the idea that they were interfering with the little businessman, they were spending their money in all those shops that had lost so much money during these shutdowns. They were spending money like crazy in those shops that were, where the trucks were parked. The people in that town loved them. All right, they were really, really some of the most decent people, I've ever seen. In all my years of life, they were wonderful people, and this is what's happening to them. And what is astounding to me is that, according to the news media, I guess, 72% of the Canadians think that what Trudeau is doing to these truckers is the right thing to do.
Loyalty to the party. First and foremost, loyalty to the party. Yep.
It's almost like Hitler's Germany, all right, where you turn up. Well, they don't come in after me, and they probably deserve it. Whatever Hitler wanted to do with all those people, And what I'm afraid of, we're going to have one here in the United States. It's going to take place in March. We're going to have our own convoy. I'm looking forward to it. I've been following some of them, all right. But they're going to go into Washington, and they're not going to find that going into Washington is the same as going into Ottawa. All right? It's going to be a mess.
It's going to be a mess.
But I'm wondering, I'm wondering if Biden takes a look at what Canada did and tries to do the same to them.
We'll see.
This is a dystopian nightmare here. This is everything that, like you said, that 1984 warned of. All right, that's in the future. It's supposed to happen in 1984, but it's happening now. And I just think that the only way this can ever stop is that everybody just says, "Stop it," or "We're not working." That's what the truckers really should do. Instead of convoying, they should just park their trucks outside their homes and say, "We're not delivering anything until this is all, reversed. We get our money back, we get our property back, we get the donations to our cause back. We're not going to run our trucks." That is, they can't make them run their trucks. And the fact is, the grocery stores don't get deliveries. Nobody gets delivered anything. And we are going to have a crisis that's going to teach everybody, including the 72% who think that what they did to these truckers was correct. They're going to teach them, these are the people that make the whole system work.
Exactly. By the way, Robert, the economy is us. It's people. It's not money. It's people. Soylent Green is also people, Robert. I appreciate the call. We got to go. Great stuff as always.
Talk to you later.
Have a great night. Thanks for the phone call. That's Robert in Pennsylvania, affectionately known as The Robert. Check out his book. Links in the description down below. It's called Stories from a Fractured Mind. He sent me a couple copies. It's an amazing read. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're still talking about the ever-present concern of emerging technologies. What are your top two? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds, technology, and your phone calls when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. And you know what those things are. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Tonight, we're discussing this idea that technology is a great thing. One of the best things, even. However, there is a dark side to technology. In that, what do you think is the most concerning technological advance of the last, several years? And extrapolating that to the next century, what do you think we should be most concerned about? We could talk about the surveillance state. We're talking about censorship tonight. We're talking about, we haven't even got to CRISPR yet, or we did a little bit of AI with Phil's call. He talked about the 3 laws of robotics and maybe how at some point we're going to be sort of a Skynet with the metal boot on our neck. Things like this, right? The whole idea is, what is the most concerning thing to you? To me, it was social media in tandem with the mainstream media. Because, of course, the mainstream media is nothing but pure hate and division. Pure hate and division. It's what they do. They are not satisfied until we hate each other. And they want us to believe, falsely, by the way, they want us to believe that our differences are more pronounced than what we have in common. False. It's false. It's false. We're people, right? People have a lot of things in common, but they want us to forget those things. They want us to weaponize our differences against each other, and it makes no sense to me. And again, this is, a social credit score, is what Robert brought up. It's a terrifying thing if you look at what happened in Canada with the truckers there. That's literally the epitome of a peaceful protest. But now that they're labeling these individuals as terrorists, they're freezing their bank accounts. Like, this is literally the type of thing that makes you really yearn for human rights, like an actual guaranteed, in Canada they call it a charter, by the way. Did you know that? So here it's called the Bill of Rights, all right? The actual, those amendments that guarantee personal liberty, all right? Now, again, I'm not going to go all Fox News, so everybody relax, but it's not a Fox News concept. It's a philosophical concept, all right? Point being is that if you have rights that are guaranteed, and this is the term, don't get me wrong or get all super agitated when I say this, but the idea is that human rights are not granted by government, they're granted by God or by a creator. All right. And so, again, trust me, we're not going to go there and do a ton of that tonight, unless you want to do a ton of that tonight. I know that stuff very well, and I can talk about that stuff very well. But I know that if I go that soapbox, I'll lose half of you, and that's not the point here. The point is we want to talk. We want to have a discussion. But if you look, right, there's a guaranteed rights, and there's you have what's known as a charter in Canada. It's not a constitution. It's not a Bill of Rights. It's a charter. It's a charter. Right? And, well, what does that mean? It means nothing's guaranteed. It means they did steal their trucks. It means they did freeze their bank accounts. It means that, literally, think about it, if they own the banks and the banks have your money, then that money isn't even yours. It's not. Because at any point, somebody in the government makes a phone call and somebody at the bank clicks a key and bam, you've been relieved of your money. Bam, gone. You ever heard of private property rights? Yeah, right? You bring it up and they're like, oh, he's a right-winger. I knew it. He's a right-winger. And you're like, okay, well, just hand over all your stuff to the state then if you don't believe in those things, right? And again, I understand there's nuance. This is not a very, very, very easy conversation. And that's why we have these conversations. We got to understand that we have more in common than we have differences, all right? So anyway, so the question on my mind tonight, aside from all that stuff, we're talking about social credit scores, right? As Robert brought up in the last phone call, but there's more. We're discussing this idea of technology and emerging technology. And what do you think the biggest threat to humanity is if these emerging technologies are left run amok? All right. Just to go to not have any kind of, safeguards or slow it down. Let's think about these things before they do them. There's a lot. There's CRISPR. We're talking about designer babies and creating, brown-eyed babies with blue eyes, things like this. It's like, okay, there's these ridiculous articles talking about, can we CRISPR men to have 14-inch penises? Yeah, that seems legitimate. That's cool. How could that go wrong, right? Like things like this. It's like, come on now, like, and this is how absolutely, well, I guess, unimaginative humanity can be in some of these senses, right? Like, really, do those things really, really matter? And I'm not going to get into the debate over 14-inch penises, but I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, like, there's so many other things that we could be considering and talking about that it's like, why don't we? And that's what Troubled Minds is all about. Like I said, I have no inside sources. I just read news cycles and get stressed out just like you do because it's all division, it's all negative, it's all the time. And I wanted your thoughts. Secret weapon of Troubled Minds is you, and what do you think is the most ever-present concern of emerging technologies? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Get in here. I'll hop on the show. Joe in Florida, I saw your call, and I didn't get to you a little ways ago, so give me a call, my man. Get back here if you got some time. Love to put you on the show and hear your thoughts on this. But so that's the idea tonight. The secret weapon of Troubled Minds is you, because we're just having a conversation. That's it. It's and again, some of these conversations aren't even allowed anymore, and that's the most dangerous thing. And by the way, the joke on the 14-inch penises goes back to an article I did on my news show, which is Monday and Friday on Twitch at 3 p.m. Pacific. It was actually talking about this. Like, is it possible to use CRISPR to make men with 14-inch penises? And it's like, okay, like, ha ha. I mean, that's not fun. It's not funny. It's not. I mean, it's funny if you're like in third grade. You know what I mean? And by the way, I appreciate a very good, not even very good, by the way. I appreciate a decent dick and fart joke. All right, I do. But that is just unimaginative. It's like, really, CRISPR, and we're going to talk about the size of people's penises. Super awesome. Super double plus good. Orwellian 100%. We may as well just dumb it all down right this second. Anyway, so that's what we're talking about tonight. Not 14-inch penises, but the idea of this technology, CRISPR technology, or let's say mass surveillance, or let's say social credit scores, or let's say Isaac Asimov and the 3 laws of robotics. What do you think is the most ever-present concern of emerging technologies, and your top 2? That's my question for you tonight. What are your top 2 things that concern you about the future? Mine, in particular, was social media. Social media. Now, we don't even have to go outside to bully people. We can bully people from the safety of our keyboard. From the safety of our home. We can bully the hell out of people all over the world right here from the safety of our own home, right? Isn't that satisfying? Isn't that so satisfying? Just bullying people all over the world in the safety of your own home. Well, if private property rights go away, it won't be your home anymore. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. And yes, the Great Reset is on the way. But so you tell me. I have no idea what is going on here, other than I'm trying to make sense of the world just like you. If you have an idea of what the most ever-present concern of emerging technologies is, I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. Watch me do this fast. We are, of course, broadcasting live on digital radio, the Fringe FM. And please join the Fringe Discord, fringe.fm/chat. That'll give you a direct invite. And also, please download the Fringe app. You can find it at the iTunes or the Android App Store. It's completely free. Easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. Smash the play button. You get me. You get us. You get Troubled Minds Nation. You get all the amazing programming on Fringe as well. And then I mentioned it's free. All right. So that's where we begin tonight. We've been talking about this a little bit, but there's some good ideas. Social media combined with the mainstream media is dangerous. Robert was talking about the Canadian truckers and how the social credit score is a dangerous thing, and they can just steal from us at will because they're the government and we're not. Phil was talking about AI and sort of the three laws of robotics. What do you think? What is the most concerning, pressing thing about technology and emerging technology of the next century? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Go right ahead, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Hey, I think like the top two for me that scare me are like viruses and ourselves. Like I always think of AI being ourselves because like, I don't know, I just feel like the systems we have set up they're trying to craft something. And then you got like China, they have the facial recognition. So if you combine like facial recognition and maybe even like emotion recognition, like you can read people's emotion in a situation, like hit them with an ad or something and get some data on them real quick. Like then you can figure out, you could kind of figure out like how to even craft better, you know, like that's what I would think. That's what I think is kind of scary if it's possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's another one, too, that we haven't even touched on is the mass surveillance and that facial recognition, because you're correct, right? I've got some articles here linked in the description, of course, that are talking about, or maybe I nuked those before we started the show, but I was reading about exactly that, scanning the retina, right, in those biometrics. So it's not just going to be facial recognition at some point. We've seen that these cameras, this mass surveillance equipment is able to not only, let's say you covered your face, because that's what happened, right? Notice the downside of covering your face for the COVID is that now suddenly the facial recognition was shot. And there were people in China when this first started happening, you were required to wear masks. They couldn't even get money out of their bank account because they had to do a facial scan, and these masks were obfuscating the cameras and who these people were, right? So there's a downside to this, but what started happening is the AI got better, and they started actually being able to identify people through other means, maybe retina scans, maybe your exactly eyeballs, maybe the gait and how you walk, right? Like these types of things were happening and still happening, and you were exactly right in that mass surveillance and this idea of biometric recognition with or without your face is a terrifying concept. I'm glad you brought it up. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it with probably a satellite in space. You know, it's like a thermometer up there that can beam through your house. I think I said that before. And, yeah, and then combine that in real time with everything else. You got like a more full picture. And, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say before that, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think terrorism is very like they say, like Alex Jones said, there's a lot of stuff in the jungles like technology that we don't even know. It kind of escapes because you can get to the jungle in like South America, like other countries can easier. So that's another scary thing, is all like the stuff getting across the borders, and then there could be like a land nuke or anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of that stuff, right? We can talk about dirty bombs and terrorism. I think, though, the interesting thing to notice, right, is if you go back to 9/11 regarding terrorism, this is my opinion. So, again, I could be wrong about everything, by the way. Just so everybody knows, I could be wrong about everything, and I approach it all like that. I am willing to change my mind tomorrow with new evidence. Okay, but my take right now regarding terrorism is that, notice 9/11 happened, and then terrorism was like something that happened in the Middle East, right? It's like, oh well, you know, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, like these are the places where terrorism are happening. Syria, you know, you name it, like that, right? Because we had a boogeyman, right? Osama bin Laden, the rest of that. That's where terrorism happened. But now, once that crisis has abated, now we have the new crisis, which terrorism. Now, Joseph, is me and you. And so the thing I don't like about terrorism, the term, is its political fungibility, in that they can just turn on a dime and change the fact that me or you are now the terrorist, and we just want to talk about the world around us, you know? I mean, that's the craziest part about that term. But I get what you're saying. Real terrorists, right? Like people that would like
were to
set
do
off
that,
a dirty
they would
bomb.
be trying to evoke. My bad.
No, you're good.
If they were to do that, they would be evoking. I think that's a lot of what they're doing, because that's what you see. You get mad when you watch the TV. Like, you see, it's not like the news is terrible. And I think some people, I can imagine, in unstable states. I seen the movie about Hitler. This movie about Hitler, it's called, what is it? The Last Moments or something. It was a German movie, and a lot of people before it even happened, or no, maybe it was about Einstein. Maybe this was about Einstein's roommate, and like he completely went AWOL just because of all the propaganda and stuff that goes around. So yeah, I could see that, like the media and stuff. It's just terrible what they do. And it's like they're just operating on a system, and they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's a platform, isn't it? It's it's the party. It's loyalty to the party. It's literally, this is also Orwellian, and people don't realize it. They're like cheering for these things. It's like, yeah, seize their bank accounts, and you're like, wait, bro, you do realize next time it's you, like you moron, like please think. These things are happening, and people don't recognize it. It's like they're so whooped up in like the garbage propaganda that they don't get what's actually happening and how it is detrimental to them and their families' line forever. Like this is literally, if the West tips in the, you know, the Charter of Human Rights, because we may as well call it that now because it's not guaranteed. Well, if it tips, what's left? What's left for human rights? It becomes terrifying, doesn't it, Joseph?
Yeah, it would be, because, I mean, the world kind of watches us.
Yeah.
Because I know a few, like, Australians and a couple foreigners, and I know them because they visited America. And they're like, in America, they're like fans of it, you know?
Yep. And that's the thing, too. So, again, you know, for all the terrible things America is, it's also an ideal. It's an ideal that like people the world over aspire to, because they can't do simple things we can do. And that is what's known as that individual liberty. Like I said, I'm not going to go into that, because then I get the fingers pointed at me and screaming, right winger, we knew it, get him, take him down, get him. I don't care. Call me what you want to call me. I just want to talk, and I just want to get along with people, and it doesn't seem that hard to me. So what else? So you got this idea of facial recognition and mass surveillance. What else? If you got to pick a second thing here of a terrifying emerging technology, what concerns you?
Maybe like I said, I don't know, like specific. I'm not gonna like bring anything specific, but maybe if they made a like I said, they were selecting people like them. Like you got a call. Let's say I got a call, and then all of a sudden, like the government's there. Like I'm in the Men in Black, and and that's because they have something unique they want, and maybe it's like part of like everyone's gonna be a part of this puzzle in their mind. Like I fear for like the supernatural kind of is basically what I'm saying. Like the technology and supernatural.
Okay.
And like messing with stuff they don't know.
Oh, I see. So sort
Even
of like
if they do know it.
I got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but like even if they do know, I mean, I just think we're good. I mean, we've been living for thousands of years. We have books and stuff in the ground, and I don't think messing with our people and stuff is a good idea.
Yeah, it is interesting that as
the human.
Yeah. As I get what you're saying, as science sort of catches up to what that term of magic happens to be, it does become supernatural, paranormal in some sense. And then again, right? Like, what are the implications of all this terrible stuff, like the media, the social media, and the rest of this? On like, what is the toll on the human soul? Right, and so you may say soul, you may say psyche, you may say subconscious, you may say there's so many ways you can kind of your consciousness, whatever it is. There's a toll that this stuff takes, and it's a human toll. And yeah, I'm with you, brother. Good takes as always. You're the best, Joseph. We got another minute or so. If you got anything else for us,
like for technology, I always think of like the main things. Like I imagine like we build like literally giant submarines. We call them like the Yellow Submarine or something, one of them, and that's like generation ships. I don't know how you would do it though. Like I believe in a natural flow, like not taking people out of the human flow, you know. So doing everything, but also benefiting humans, you know, while you do it. Like you can't keep producing new stuff if you're oppressing people. Like I don't know how many people in North Korea are coming up with new ideas for stuff, but I bet they don't come up with much.
Because they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, only within the prescribed bounds of the party. And again, right, if you control conversation to that level, you don't have humanity at all anymore. Joseph, you're the best, my brother. We're out of time. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thanks for listening. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Links in the description. He does original music and some other stuff. You're the best, bro. Thanks so much for the call. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Thanks, man. Thanks, you too. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. What are your thoughts on this? As we get down to the bottom of the hour here, I wonder, what is the most dangerous emerging technology? I don't want to hear from the experts. I want to hear from you. Regular people just like me. That's right. As we wind down, what is this? What's time-wise? Oh, we're out of time. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More emerging technologies, things to be wary of, and your phone calls when we return. We got Dre coming up, I believe. Be it right back. 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss exactly this. What's the most dangerous emerging technology? And I'm looking at this from glass half full. Again, I think as humans, we got ourselves here. I believe we can get ourselves out. But what are the things that you think are the most concerning for the next century, for humanity to progress to where we need to be? There's all kinds of things. We're talking about CRISPR. We're talking about the surveillance state. We're talking about all kinds of crazy stuff because, of course, that's what this is all about because, of course, it is called Troubled Minds. So taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Or you can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and we'll put you on the show this way as well, just like this. Just like this. I'm gonna just I'll just pop in the caller queue. I got you, Dre. We're just gonna do it right here. All right, please mute up and we'll put you on in just a sec. All right, so we are taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. Let me kill the music and let's go to Dre in I forgot the state, South Carolina. Dre in South Carolina. What's up, Dre?
South Carolina, you got it right. Yeah.
I got it. Yes. All right. Dre in South Carolina. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's on your mind tonight? The question is this. Let's reframe this for you. What's the most dangerous emerging technology and what should we be concerned about for the future of humanity? We've talked about CRISPR tonight. We've talked about the surveillance state, talked about social credit scores, tons of stuff, AI and the 3 laws of Asimov's robotics. What concerns you, my friend?
Ooh, okay. Thank you for repeating that question just so I can kind of gather my mind back around all of these thoughts that I have racing through my head. So I heard a couple callers talk about the facial recognition thing being a problem, and I kind of want to say that that's been going on for so many years now. That shouldn't really be a current worry. Like, we've all been uploading our pictures to all of our social medias for so long that facial recognition is a thing. It's going on. It's been going on. Like, you could just put that to the back of your mind. When it comes to future technologies that do worry me, Elon Musk's what is his program with the brain wires hooking up to an app to your phone for epileptics?
Neuralink.
Neuralink. Right. That worries me unbelievably so, considering how many times every supposedly protected system gets hacked. And what scares me the most about it is, like, okay, dude, say I get the Neuralink in my brain because I have epilepsy and I want to control this shit, right? I have an app on my phone. I'm sorry for cursing. Sorry for that.
Thanks for noticing.
Sorry. Say I have an app on my phone that lets me read, or at least let my doctor read whatever printouts or whatever readings they have from that Neuralink. Who the hell says that app is protected from hackers? Who says that app can't be hacked by someone that just wants to control me into being some sort of, I don't even know what they would want to make me as, but how would that not let them affect my brain chemistry, affect how my brain works, if they're able to hack my phone, because phones are easily hacked, in order to get into that, right?
Yes, exactly. I always say, if it can be built, it can be hacked, especially as soon as you connect it to the internet, it's vulnerable. That's it. That's the bottom line. And what's the point in having a Neuralink attached to you that's not attached to the internet? What's the point? Right?
Exactly.
So eventually, once they make that connection, you can build it, therefore you can hack it. And think about this. I don't like the idea of self-driving cars, right? Because what if I'm a dissident? Because I am, for sure, right? And I don't mean it in the sense that I want the downfall of the system. I want the system to be better, right? And I want to talk about the things that will make the system better. But in my eyes, I'm just like, hey, trying to do good work for myself and for our fellow humans, right? But the system itself sees me as a threat because I'm pointing out problems in the system. So we have a serious difference of opinion, but I become the dissident. And if I get in a self-driving car, what do you think my odds of accident are? A little higher than everybody else's. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. I ain't going to get one of those things.
I'm pretty sure your car isn't going to recognize that the 18-wheeler in front of you is stopped. Right? Yeah, for sure.
It's going to have an error.
It's just going to run straight under that.
Critical error. Yeah. No, not doing it. Not doing it. I'm gonna drive an old beater forever if that's what it takes. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting in one of those things. No chance. But yeah, so there's a lot to be concerned about, right? There's a ton of stuff here. So regarding facial recognition, by the way, the problem with it is you are correct in the sense that we've uploaded the hell out of all this, right? We put our stuff on FaceApp and Facebook and all the rest of this stuff, and they're farming our faces constantly. But the reason they're doing that is clearly clearly to use it against us. Like that. What else could you? Literally, what else could you use it for? Like, it's one of those things where, like, if you want to generate like faces for ads, you could do that digitally, and it's, you know, not be a real person. That's fine. But if you want actual faces from actual people, what's the point of having them if you're not going to some way somehow access that database and snap of a fingers quickly identify you or me or anybody else? You know what I mean? I can't think of an innocuous reason why you would need an entire facial recognition database of every human on Earth. Makes no sense.
Well, one of my favorite ways to think about this is all of these trends that keep coming up in my Facebook feed or an Instagram feed or whatever, doing like a 10-year challenge. Post a picture of you from 10 years ago and then post a picture of you from you now. And all that is doing is teaching the AI how to age people's faces from their photo.
Yes.
That shit makes me laugh so hard. I'm sorry again for cursing. My bad. It makes me laugh so hard because I'm like, why are you literally letting this AI? Why are you giving it info? Why are you giving it data in order to know how to age human faces for whatever reason it wants to learn how to do that? Like that blows my mind. I'm like, stop doing that, people. Please stop doing that. I understand you went through a huge transformation and you're proud of yourself and all this other stuff, but you know what? At least don't tag it with the hashtag of 10-year challenge, because that's what the AI is going to be searching, and that's how they're going to know how to identify you 10 years from now. Even after you did the 10-year before challenge, even if you don't want to be recognized in the system, even if you don't want to keep going along with their whole AI, let's identify everyone just from their pupils or just from their facial structure or just from their DNA or whatever. If you don't want to be recognized by that, then you know what? Stop using the freaking hashtags, homie. Stop using all that stuff that'll give the system ways to identify you without you even knowing about it.
And the programs itself, like again, don't use FaceApp, don't use Facebook, don't use these shady companies that are doing exactly like you're describing. There are ways you can disconnect and not do any of that. You see people with profile photos that are not themselves. They don't put pictures of themselves on the internet, right? There are ways you can still use technology and not feed the beast. 100%. What else you got for us? So facial recognition. I've just wanted to counterpoint your thought there. Just with my thought, it's not a debate, not an argument. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. But what else you got regarding the rest of this? What about CRISPR or any of these other things? What would be your second idea here regarding what we should be wary of in the future of technology?
I don't know. Okay, so today I was watching a video with Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about simulation theory. Right? And he was really worried about it at first when he heard this one philosopher's argument saying that if a society could create a simulation where they could literally simulate their entire world, then who says we are not that world creating that world? And then that world then thus creates another world, all in simulation. And it goes on for a gazillion worlds. You know what I mean? If you can create a world that emulates your world and your world is capable of simulating your entire world along with human consciousness, along with the whole human experience, then who says the world you create cannot create another world that does the same thing, that cannot simulate another world that does the same thing?
Right.
And that's what his worry was.
So you're talking about the metaverse. The metaverse.
No, I'm not, because the metaverse is not, it's not enough in order to simulate our entire experience.
Not yet.
I know it's not yet. I know it's close, but it's not yet, right? The Sims world isn't actually our world. But what Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about was if that's a possibility, right? If whatever universe that we live in, if we are capable of simulating our exact universe in a simulation, then who says that simulation can't then create another simulation of that universe that they're living in? And the only thing that brought him back from the brink of freaking out and realizing that his own existence doesn't mean anything was a different philosopher that came in and said, if we're not able to simulate our universe to the exact detail that we experience it yet, if we are not yet able to do that, and that means whatever simulation we might create would not be able to do it to us. So that means we, therefore, are not in a simulation because we cannot access that level of technology yet. Now, what freaks me out, entirely so, is if and or when we are able to create that simulation that literally will produce a whole experience that is exactly like the world that we experience around us. If I am touching a tree right now, if I am able to log into something that can literally recreate the feeling of me touching the leaf that I'm touching right now and recreate the smell of the grass that is around me right now, if it is able to do everything so perfectly, well, homie, that's going to make me question freaking everything. And I am not going to know anything. And I already know I don't know anything, but that's going to make me know even more so that I don't know anything. And man, is that going to be a mind screw.
Thank you for hedging your bets there. Yes, and mind screw indeed. And no, I'm with you. So, and I think that the craziest part about what you're describing is that I think if there are layers of that already, they call it base reality, right? Is that I think like this is my philosophy on this. It doesn't matter, does it? I mean, let's say you and I are living in the same simulation created by some advanced race from 10 million years ago, right? And they're just maybe it's us from the future, and we're simulating our past for kicks in some sort of I don't know, nuclear war sim or something. You know what I mean? Like, who knows, right? Like, who knows what the end is of this simulation? It doesn't matter, does it? Meaning that my philosophy on the fact is you and I, as products of that construct, are still software that it needs to be at our best, right? Like, let's say that we are just ones and zeros, you and me, just to say, let's exclude everybody else because we're talking right now, but you and I are just ones and zeros. We are literally just software. Don't you still want to be the best software you can be? I do. I don't want to be running with errors and bugs and crap.
I mean, okay. Given my own experience in this life, and given how it hasn't been anywhere close to perfect, but it has taught me so many lessons in how to be a better person, how to be a better human. It's also taught me more about the world around me than living an easy life could have. That's the only thing that makes me lend towards the belief that I'm not in a simulation, because I don't really feel like computer programs would give a crap that much about learning lessons throughout their life, throughout their experience. So, okay, maybe we are in a simulation, but that doesn't mean that my consciousness is not a separate thing from the simulation. Maybe my consciousness is just inhabiting a body in this simulation in order to learn a lesson, or in order to experience whatever this life has to offer. That's the other side of it, because I don't feel like any life is wasted and any consciousness is wasted. Yeah, okay, we could be in a simulation, we could not be. But why would that ever stop you from wanting this simulation to be the best experience that you could have if you only have a limited amount of time here?
And we agree, 100%. That's exactly what I was saying. We just said it different ways. Exactly. I agree. I couldn't agree more. And that's the point of this. It's like, hey, look, like the construct kind of doesn't matter, because we're still ourselves. We still, even if we're not like a singular being, and this is an interesting thing about that base reality and like maybe that simulation theory, is it fits into the paranormal. It fits into souls being connected. It fits into the Force. It fits into all these ideas of us being one, because we're all the same code, right? I mean, that to me is it's an endearing aspect of that idea. So it's like, okay, we are literally all connected through one program, an actual computer program. You know what I mean? So, and there are so many ways to look at it and think about it. But like I said, there's again, like I always say about when we talk about the idea of this living in a matrix, my ego hates it. But you know what? My ego doesn't run the world or the universe or anything. So,
well, no. Here's where I'll disagree with you, right? Where I'll disagree with you.
Sure.
Because if you were in a simulation, okay, say you're in a simulation, I'm in a simulation, right? My simulation is literally centered around me. Your simulation is literally centered around you, because there's no way the computer programming could be enough to simulate the whole world at all time and all levels, with all the mountains, with all the forests, with all the deserts. That's not possible. Your simulation would only be creating the world around you. It's creating the earth beneath your feet right now. It's creating your microphone. It's creating your computer screens just around you. And that's your simulation. My simulation is me standing in the middle of my front yard, surrounded by grass and azalea bushes and a bamboo fence and a fire pit. And that's what it's creating around me. So that doesn't mean necessarily that you don't matter. It means that you literally matter so much to your simulation that it is putting all this power into creating the life that you have built around you, just like it does around me. But that's a beautiful thing, I think.
It is, but they're not. I think the thing is, right, if you ever played like a game like Sims on, like, this is old. This is like 20 years ago. Like they were
15 years ago, I did, yeah.
Yeah, they were doing this stuff a long time ago. And so that's the thing, right? So just because... So what you're describing is two completely different realities, just for sake of conversation, I understand. But the thing is that we were able to do that 20 years ago. Us, like just regular ass people. So I think I don't know. It is a mind screw. In the immortal words of Dre, it is a mind screw. and I will say this: let's just be the best programs we can be, right? And I think it fits no matter what we're talking about. Like, you know, and you can swap the word programs and people. That's fine. Let's be the best people we can be. And if we're programmed, so be it. I'm going to do my best, Dre. I know you're going to do your best, and I know the world will be a better place, and that's a good thing. Good enough for me.
Hell yeah, Mike. Thanks for having me on, man.
Pleasure's mine as well. Thanks for calling. Always welcome anytime. Hop back in here. Dre in South Carolina. I remembered. 702. Thanks. Have a great one. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, and I'll put Dre in there. Go ahead and mute up, Dre. If you want to stay there, you can listen from there, because I know there's a weird delay when we swap channels and whatnot. But you're still on air, and if you speak, people will hear you, just to let you know. Okay, so this is the deal, right? We're still talking about this. The ever-present concern of emerging technologies. Great stuff from Dre there. Some good ideas regarding all of this. Like, what does it all mean? And I think it's interesting that once you get to the point where you start considering all the things seem to lead back to the one thing. And what is the one thing? Consciousness. What is the one thing? What does it mean to be me? Why am I different than you? Why are we different together? But also, we're so much the same together. You know what I mean? Like, there's this whole sort of whirlwind of similarities that seem to all, no matter what we talk about on this show, it all seems to kind of trace back to that idea of consciousness. And what does it mean? What is that thing itself? Are we just some lucky mud, knuckle-headed things just rolling through? And I don't know. You tell me. I have no idea. We got a few minutes left for you. Approximately 4.5 minutes. If somebody wants to jump in here real quick as we finish this up. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and come join us that way. We were just talking to Dre on Discord, and that's the thing, right? Again, Discord's free. It's a chat client, voice client. You can use it like an old school telephone. You can share photographs and links and chat with people like an old school AOL chat room. You guys remember that? You guys old enough to remember the old original AOL chat rooms? I used to chat on this program called it was Alamac. You remember that? Like, just these weird chat rooms before the kind of at the dawn of the internet, where people would get in there with these anonymous crazy usernames and be chatting with each other. And it was like the first place where like it started the culture. Not the first, but it was one of the first, let's say, where it started that culture of arguing with strangers on the internet. Yeah, I tell you what, we've come a long way since then, and our arguments have amplified tenfold. It's so crazy. Anyway, so looking here from you, got a few minutes left. 702-957-1037. What is your idea here regarding the ever-present concern of emerging technologies? Let's just burn through a few of these in this Gizmodo article, which we didn't really get to. This guy says, Zephyr Teachout, says the associate professor at law at Fordham University, says private workplace surveillance. That's pretty wild. That's a pretty good one. What else? Let's roll down. Michael Littman, professor of computer science, Brown University, says, AI. And one of the biggest panel's biggest concerns about AI is techno-solutionism, the attitude that technology like AI can be used to solve any problem. The aura of neutrality and impartiality that many people associate with AI decision-making results in systems being accepted as objective and helpful, even though they may be applied inappropriately and can be built on the results of biased historical decisions or even blatant discrimination. What have I been saying for years, for literally years? And look, these are experts, right? I've been saying this same stuff for years, and these are experts. And this is what I'm saying to you. Nothing beats good old-fashioned common hobbit sense. Hobbit sense. And I don't have hairy feet. Well, not very hairy. And so that's the thing, right? Good old-fashioned common sense. And look, more experts. What else do they have to say? Let's actually put this to the fact of what we talk about in context of these conversations on Troubled Minds, right? And see what these experts are saying. And guess what? You're going to see some pretty hilarious similarities of what we've been saying for years now. We can say that. What we have been saying for years. Here's another one. David Shumway-Jones, a professor of epidemiology of Harvard University. There are clearly many contenders for the title of most dangerous emerging technology. CRISPR and other gene editing technologies could wreak havoc, though they may prove to be less powerful than their proponents promise. I said surmise. You see what I did there? What's going on, guys? There's more. There's more here. We'll get into more of this as we go. We're about out of time. But this is the thing, right? I'm telling you, do not fall for the fallacy of the expert, meaning the appeal to authority. Experts they're smart. They're experts, all right? But they're also very niche. They are very in one particular discipline, right? They're not generalists at life. You again, unless you're Dr. Fauci, then you're the bestest doctor in all the land, and you can say whatever the hell you want because, well, it's science, and then it's common sense, and then it's science, and then it's not science, and then you just lie and make up whatever you want, and all the rest of these things, right? That's fine if you're Dr. Fauci because you don't have to stick to the science because the science is a fungible thing because it's politics now and it's not science anymore. But well, I'll have that debate with him any day, by the way. And guess what? I don't have a fancy degree and like all these years in the government making a huge salary. I'm pretty sure I'll hold my own against that guy. And this is the thing, right? It's not about being smart. It's about just listening to yourself and listening to, hey, I've got some concerns here. Like, why am I stressed? What is going on in the world around me? Let's think about these things. And, well, by golly, let's talk about these things. And you betcha. If there's things to say, well, you have the ability to create a radio show. See what happened? What do we do? We begin on YouTube and we end, well, in the stars. All right, as we finish, it goes a little something like this. You guys know the drill. We do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And, well, the conversation is ongoing. This is not... I like to keep them sort of like encapsulated in, little episodes of just one conversation, sort of niche, you could say. But it's an ongoing conversation. You could combine all these things into one huge, long conversation, and that's the point of all of this. Life is not so simple as one single thing. Life is complicated. People are complicated. Relationships are complicated. The world is complicated. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, I bring you Troubled Minds. Thank you again. As we finish, it goes a little something like this. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And also, like this. I'm me, you're you, but together we're us. And that's a powerful thing. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, what's up? We are off the Fringe FM, but that doesn't mean the conversation is done because, of course, nobody tells us when to stop because we're grown-ass people and we do what we want. We do what we want. All right, so this is the thing, right? We're still talking about this. We got Dre here. We're going to get back to Dre in a sec. Dre says, I got some stuff to say about CRISPR. Perfect. We're still talking about this idea of technology, and we'll get to what some of these experts say, and let's see how the experts hold up to the troubled minds nation. Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? It mirrors pretty much all the things we've been talking about for years now. Yes, years. And so, well, we're going to keep on talking about this. The idea tonight is this. The ever-present concern of emerging technologies. What do you think we should be most concerned about regarding technology now, which is in its infancy, regarding the next 100 years and the future of humanity? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm me, you're you, together we're us. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. 2-minute break. We'll be right back with Dre. She's got some things to say about CRISPR, and we're taking your phone calls as well. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're taking your phone calls. We're discussing this idea of technology. What about budding technology now? What should we be most concerned about? Again, we talked about all kinds of stuff tonight. Facial recognition. We talked about social credit scores. Talked about the 3 laws. Isaac Asimov. Robotics. AI. We talked about. We haven't got to CRISPR yet. We're going to get to that in just a sec with Dre here. We talked about the idea of Neuralink and the idea of living in a simulation. Skynet. All kinds of things are coming up, right? And this is what I'm saying. It's a complicated world anymore. And there's a ton of things. There's a ton of things that we've talked about on this show. And again, like I said, don't get me wrong, please, if you're new to this show, don't get me wrong. This is not Alex Jones. This is not the end is nigh. This is not, preaching to adherence. It's not that. It's a conversation. And it's okay if we disagree, but I truly believe in the end of a conversation we can still get along, even if we disagree. And that's okay. Like again, you got to understand, like the world we live in is this bizarre dystopia that they try and tell us if we disagree, it's the end of the world, and it's not. I mean, fuck's sakes, we can learn from each other, can't we? I mean, we're supposed to disagree. If we agree with everything everybody said, then is this really the world at all? This seems like a bizarre-ass computer program, if you ask me. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Or you can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on just like this. Let's go right back to Dre in South Carolina. What's up, Dre? You still there? Test 1 2.
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm here.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. What's up? How are you? You said you had some things to say about CRISPR technology. Go right ahead.
I do. 1 second. I just wanted to say thank you for making the statement that if we all agreed on something, it would be a boring life, right? That's the inherent meaning of what you said.
Yes, absolutely. Well, not only that, it would seem more like a simulation to me, right?
Right. It'd be pretty boring, right? If we all agreed on the same thing, and that's kind of what. Going off topic just slightly, there's this trilogy of books that Joseph Campbell wrote that I read. One of them is called Apotheosis, and the bad guys in the books are all about making everyone like everyone else. You have the same haircut, you wear the same clothes, and all the rebels are the ones that are taken out and like put onto the prison planet. It's kind of where the prison planet concept comes from. I'm going off topic here, and I'm sorry about that.
You're good.
It just reminded me of it because it's like all of the rebels that didn't want to conform, that didn't want to agree with everyone else, that didn't want to follow the rules that this supposed higher society or culture taking over their world, they didn't agree with it. They were put onto the prison planet that is Earth, stuck here in this reality in order to live out this hard life of being human. And I just thought it was pretty perfect for what I kind of already think is going on.
No,
but when
perfect.
it comes to CRISPR, right? Getting back on topic.
Yeah, no, you're okay. Hold on, you're okay though. So the good thing about Joseph Campbell, I'm a Joseph Campbell fan, by the way, and so the thing is with that is there's a lot to him in that he's taking that human experience and then not only kind of extrapolating backward but forward. In that, right, we have these cyclical mythologies that it could be mythology, they could be prophecy, they could be both, right? And it goes both ways. We talk about the micro macro, we talk about retrocausality, we talk about things like this on this show in particular. But Joseph Campbell had a lot of stuff right. That dude was an amazing dude, and I'm glad you brought him up. We don't talk about him often enough, but just wanted to say I'm glad that you're a fan as well. Go right ahead on CRISPR, my friend.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. I have such a shit-eating grin on my face right now that you know who the hell I'm talking about, because no one ever knows who the hell I'm talking about when I bring this person up, especially not like the trilogy of books. I wish I remembered all three names of the books. It's one of them's Apotheosis. Do you know the trilogy that I'm talking about?
I know the trilogy. I can't remember the names. It's been a very long time.
Oh, man, you should totally reread those. They are so amazing. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna let that go. And you just made me so happy that you knew who the hell I was talking about in the books. That's awesome. Okay, so with CRISPR, right? So it's a genome technology that is helping scientists kind of navigate how babies come about, right? In the most generic words, that's kind of how it can be, how the technology can be focused. Yes.
Yes. So the big concern right now in what has made the news is those designer babies that they're creating in China with making their brown eyes blue type of thing. The biggest thing is there was a big to do about, they said that they created these children with CRISPR technology editing their genome so they were immune to the HIV virus, by the way. So that was like the big to-do recently in China regarding this. But clearly, if that's public, the more frightening aspect is how deep does that rabbit hole go? If they can do that, what else can they do? Go right ahead.
Right. Okay. But let's look at all the positive things that can be done with this technology. Let's look at all the inherited diseases and just genetic problems and health and not only mental health, but physical health issues that people can avoid if they have this technology available to them. Imagine all of the, let's say the breast cancer gene that is in women that can literally just be there laying dormant until you reach a certain age when it goes active. And then suddenly you get breast cancer that kills you.
Yeah.
If you're able to avoid that outcome, then yeah, let's do that shit, man.
Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. And that's why we do this, because again, like I say, technology is always a double-edged sword. We're on the razor's edge with this because it can go good ways. Because this is not all negative stuff. And you know me, like I said, a 51% glass half full. That's how I see the world. It's like, hey, look, we got here, let's get us out of it. But there's also more good stuff than bad stuff. And it's worth noticing, worth recognizing, worth seeing, and worth talking about. So I'm glad you brought that up as well. And that's what this is about. It's okay. It's like sometimes me being the conspiracy guy on the microphone, right? Like I get how people would misconstrue my ideas, right? My overall concern with life and the rest of this, it's not like you think. It's not like you think. I'm with you 100%. If we could trust humanity and the governments and the major corporations and all the rest of this to do the right thing, there's no problem with this technology, any technology really, because then you trust people. But then again, right, we have the greed motivation, and then suddenly you can't trust people anymore, and that becomes the greater problem, right?
Now, well, I'm not so naive to say that like let's trust people, because people can't be trusted. However, when it comes down to this level of technology, when it comes to affecting the genomes of babies to be born, I'd say if people want to get designer babies, let them get designer babies, because the money that they're paying for those designer babies, that's going to go fund the research. That's going to fund the doctors that can then help the other babies that have genetic issues, that have a lot of health problems that are not yet there. If they can avoid them, then you know what? If some rich asshole wants to go out and spend a couple million to get his designer baby, let him do that. So then a lot of other poor babies, or not even poor babies, but babies that come from parents that can't afford that technology in order to help them, let that fund that research. Let it fund that to where it becomes affordable for people to be able to avoid just debilitating illness. Do you know what I mean? Like, let people do whatever they want to do with it on that end of the spectrum, as long as it trickles down. I said trickles down like trickle down economics. I'm going to stop myself there.
You dirty right winger! How dare you? How dare you? No. I know. No. There's no electric fence conversation here. You're fine.
But you know what I mean. I don't mean trickle down. What I mean is that if some rich people paying for designer babies will eventually help people that don't have that level of money or level of income, if it will help them in the end in order to save their children from pain, from illness, from early death, then you know what? Let those rich fucks fund that research. Let their money go to their own weirdo designer babies that are probably going to end up being not what they wanted them to be to begin with. Let that fund that, so in order to help normal people, in order to help regular people, in order to help the mass populations that have to live with these debilitating health problems all the time.
Yeah, no, and again, I think that's part of the discussion, the overall discussion, in that there are, let's say, less savory things that need to happen for technological breakthroughs that will help a great many people in the long run. And so I'm not suggesting we should do horrific like medical experiments, but in your sense of the term, it's like, hey, you know what? Like let them, like they're not hurting anybody. It's their own child. It's their own. They control the means of that production, right? But then again, what we learn from those let's say experiments will help a great many people. And I agree with you. I mean, that's what technology is about. That's what science is about. That's what learning and making mistakes is about. It's all good, but you got to understand too that there's a dark side to this, and that let's say that this becomes prevalent in the sense of like test tube babies, in the sense of like sort of the 2-tier society, the 3-tier society. This is the dark mind in me, like the 1984 George Orwell mind in me, where you're like, well, wait, like what if you can create like not perfect humans, but let's say more perfect humans, right? And then that becomes the class to be. You see, so it's still. If it becomes widespread and prevalent in just society at large, then there's still us. We're still, you and me are still the unwashed masses, right? It becomes problematic. So there, again, like anything, there are two sides to every story and two sides to the discussion, and that would be my concern with that. But you're correct. I agree with you.
When okay, so you brought up test tube babies, right? My sister and her wife, both of their daughters, both of my wonderful, beautiful nieces were test tube babies. They took eggs from my sister and her wife, put them in a petri dish. They had a donor that they specifically chose for both of their daughters. They don't know which egg was fertilized, and then they implanted it in my sister-in-law, and that's how my 2 nieces were born. So when it comes to test tube babies, like, no, man, I already got them in my family. Like that's perfect.
No, but you misunderstand.
I love the fact that they were able to have babies.
It was just a term. I used. So you misunderstand. So that is fine. There's nothing wrong with. I have not one single issue with any of that. The second you start taking those test tube babies and tinkering with their genome to create something that they would not have been naturally, that becomes problematic. And it can be. Like you said, there's a lot to learn from it. It will help a lot of people with debilitating illnesses and all the rest of that. I'm just saying the dark side of that is creating that uber human. And I use that word intentionally because it's a dark way. It's a dark road. That's all. So we agree.
Here's a question though. Here's a question though. When it comes to human evolution and let's say Darwinism, right? The best of the species is what reproduces. Correct? Like isn't that how evolution's kind of already been going on? The reproduction of species?
No, I mean
the best of the species kind of reproduces with the best of the species. You want to carry on your genes in order to, that's how you choose a mate and whatnot.
Ish. Yes, ish. I mean, it's extremely complicated, but let's say ish, just for sake of argument. We can't go into Darwin and the species and all the rest of that. But yeah, let's say ish. Okay, sure, okay.
Okay. And let's not. Never mind. I'm gonna take back my thoughts on that. But throughout human history, that would just be a flamethrower, and I'm not gonna do that.
Take me down. History, come get me, Dre. That's what I'm here for.
But, no, it would probably make me look like a complete asshole, and I'm not willing to do that yet.
Okay, all right. You're welcome to, though. You're welcome.
So, throughout history, as humans have, their societies have gained control over other societies or other cultures, let's say that, we've kind of interbred in order to make better humans. Right? Like
yes.
The royal family, they interbreed all the time in order to keep the royal blood in their line. Now, yes. Granted, that doesn't exactly produce the best of the species, considering all the hemophilia
Prince
and all
Andrew.
of the Prince Albert and Andrew. That's what I meant. Prince Andrews doesn't exactly produce the best, but that's been done over centuries. So, I mean, it's kind of like if you want to worry about producing the uber human, then man, you got a whole fight against the entire human history. In my opinion, you know what I mean? Like when it comes to CRISPR, let the freaks do what they want to do. Like, 'cause there aren't that many billionaires out there in order to fund this shit. So if they want to fund it, let them fund it for their own weirdo, whatever they want to call superhuman babies. Because I kind of doubt they're going to turn out that way, dude.
And
really?
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. But what happens? Okay, the dark side again. What happens when this becomes? What happens when this becomes so cheap and easily accessible that everybody's doing it? Right? You're talking billionaires, and right now that's probably what this is about. But what happens when everybody's doing this? They're like you've heard this, right? You've heard this clearly, that the one-child policy in China for a very long time made it so that when they found out that they were going to have a girl child, they just aborted it or gave birth and just like buried the kid outside, right? Like,
and what did that result in? It resulted in a birth deficit in China, where now they have to actually convince people to have kids.
Yes, like a huge bottleneck. Yes, exactly. I'm not, and this is the point. So that's exactly the point I'm making, is that basically, if you give everybody this technology and they start doing things like this, I agree with you that in the long term, we're talking millions of years in evolution and Darwinism and back to all of that, right? That's the end goal, right? So if we're basically skipping steps to do that, well, at some point we're taking the playing God into our own hands. And so there are things we still don't know about that process as well. It's still even the term evolution is still even controversial in some circles, right? Because even like we've talked about genome memory, DNA memory, we've talked about this, right? But the thing is that so there's so much of that we don't even understand and know, but we're still tweaking genomes to create people, right? But we don't even know what we're changing in terms of what those people were and the things we're changing that may not make them people anymore. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what we don't know. And so as it becomes widespread and prevalent, I think it's dangerous. It's dangerous. But again, like you said, on small scales, sometimes, right, you got to, what's the term? You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, right?
Do you know what this conversation reminds me of? It reminds me of the Aldous Huxley book, Brave New World, where you have all the different classes of people that serve their... Have you read that book?
No, not the full book. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to disappoint you.
No, man, you should check it out. So in the book, there are different classes of people. You have the alphas, you have the omegas, you have the deltas, it basically goes through the Greek scale, and alphas are the top of the food chain, right? If you're an alpha male and an alpha female, then that's who you mate with. If you're a beta male, a beta female, well, then that's who you mate with. Unless you're a beta male, and then if you're a beta male, you can choose from the different class of women that you want to mate with. But really, you go for another beta male. If you're lucky, you might get an alpha, but really they're not going to go below their class. That's kind of that's the world that the book is set in. And that's kind of what this conversation reminds me of, is that you're worried that if we have this ability to create the perfect human, the alpha male, then we're just going to end up setting up a society where that's the cream of the crop. And then where does that leave everybody else? Right?
You tell me. Where does that leave the rest of us? It's still the unwashed masses.
The way that book ended up was the main character got fed up with the society that he lived in, got tired of told what he could be or what he couldn't be, because according to his intelligence, he was an alpha male, but his stature, his physical stature, based on the genetic composition that he was born from, didn't leave him the tall and masculine alpha male that he should have been. So he had the mind of an alpha male, but the body of like a gamma male or a delta male. So he was an outcast from the alpha society, left to try to fight for all the other alpha women who denied him because he didn't look like an alpha male, even though he had an alpha male mind. So what it turned out to be was that the alpha male, then this alpha male that looked like a gamma male or delta male, whatever it was, I can't remember, it was in high school. He ended up he went out to an Indian reservation where the Indians, the Native Americans, hadn't been exposed or brought into this society. They still lived their quote-unquote primitive lifestyle, living in tribes and living in pueblos and living in clay houses and all this other stuff, to where you went and experienced that and realized like that there's more to life than just dosing yourself. Oh man, what's the drug from that book? I can't remember. Dosing yourself with whatever that drug was to keep them happy and just complacent in their life. He went out and experienced like the Native American lifestyle, where it was actually real life, and they had to go out and get their food from the fields, and they had to bring water in and all this other stuff. And the way that it ended up being was that this quote-unquote alpha male denied the society that he was born into, even though he was supposedly at the head of it, at the very top of it, because he realized that wasn't what life was all about. He realized that life was about the experience and about experiencing what actual senses were, instead of being drugged into being complacent in the world. You should really read that book. You should really check it out.
There's
awesome.
so many on my list. Let me tell you, Dre, do you know how many books I could read if I didn't do this radio show?
I have about like 6 bookcases full of books, and about half of them I haven't read yet, but that's one I have read. You should really check it out.
I'm just saying, I've got sort of an excuse recently, but okay. All that aside, I'm with you. I understand. Like, I get it. I get that there's there's nuance here, and that's part of why we have these conversations, right? Like you and I think probably we could agree on probably like 90% plus of a lot of things, right? But there's some things that we're not going to, and that's okay because we learn from each other. That's the whole point of these conversations. So back to the idea here. So we're talking about CRISPR in terms of this emerging technologies. What are your other thoughts or any other ideas on things we should be concerned about in the future here, or you tell me what else you got?
Thank you for bringing me back around to the actual topic, because my ADHD takes me off topic a lot.
I got you.
My whole point with bringing up that book was to be like, okay, so let's say we can make the uber human. Let's say we can make this perfect human. That doesn't mean that means the death to the rest of us. What that means is like that's an experiment, and okay, if scientists want to try that out, go for it. But that doesn't mean it's going to take away the human experience for everyone else. It doesn't mean that's going to make you less of a man or me less of a woman because they can supposedly make some sort of perfect, quote-unquote, woman or man in a test tube. Because kind of honestly, isn't that what celebrities and the media already push in our faces anyway? Aren't they already pushing this perfect man and perfect woman supposed attributes in our faces anyway? How would that be any different?
Yes, because by the way, that was when we first started the show tonight, that was my first concern. Remember, I said that I think one of the biggest dangers for us is technology-wise is social media combined with the mainstream media, because we're pressing shit like this, right? Like photoshopped young women, photoshopped young men that are just like banging off the charts, like because they don't look human, because by the way, they're not. In most cases, because they've been photoshopped, they've been edited. I'm using a filter right here, right? I look better than I look in real life because I have rosacea on my face, right? And so I do this filter. It washes out like the splotches I get on my face. Like right now, I'm fine. It'd be fine. But like still, like it's still this like bizarre version of humanity that's not even humanity anymore. So like imagine when like Instagram, for instance, is not Instagram and Photoshop and shit like that. It's real. There are real people that like perfectly photogenic and the perfect skin tone, and like you just put them in the gym a couple times a week, and these people are like literally 100% superior genetically, right?
You saying that really makes me wonder why that's such a worry for you. Anyone really, because what that then it becomes into like the contemplation of why are you consistently comparing yourself to anyone else?
I'm not.
Why does that matter?
I'm not. I don't. Look.
But I mean, for anyone, I don't mean you specifically. I mean for anyone. Like, okay, say there is this perfect person out there. How is them existing in the world really affecting your own personal life?
It's
not.
No, that's not true at all. So like me, yes, because I don't scroll Instagram looking for Photoshop people, right? But there's a whole class of young people that do. And like the suicide rate for young females in particular is through the roof regarding Instagram users. So like there's a very real human toll in, like you described, sort of pressing this idea of a perfect human out to imperfect humans. It's not.
Yes, I do know that exists. I do know. I'm not ignorant to that. However, I don't know. I don't really watch TV. I don't spend my time on Instagram unless it's just posting something for my job, for my career. I don't really scroll Facebook through people's posts looking at their photos, and I kind of feel like the young people that this is affecting, I honestly wonder why aren't their parents kind of stepping in, or if not, okay, let's say you don't have to monitor their internet usage, but why aren't you teaching these kids? What happened to teaching your kids to love themselves? What happened to teaching your kids to respect themselves, to respect others, to accept yourself for who you are, and that you're amazing just because you're alive today, and you're a miracle just for being alive? What happened to all of that?
You tell me.
I don't know, man.
The internet
I don't know.
Photoshop came. The internet came. Cyberbullying came. Young people.
I was 9 and access to the internet all the time, and I was in chat rooms on GeoCities, and I was on AIM, and I was on all that stuff. And man, yeah, it kind of affected me back then. But most of the time, I was like, "This isn't real. This isn't real life. I'm just talking to some weirdo on the internet. Who knows who the hell they are? It doesn't matter. I'm still living in my life, in my body, in this existence. So why would I feel like there's a lack of education for kids these days on recognizing the amazingness of themselves. No one's telling them about how awesome they are. And I don't mean in like everyone gets a trophy way. I mean like just the fact that you're alive on this earth is pretty fucking badass. And I feel like that needs to come back into how we talk to younger generations, and that needs to come back in how we relate to younger generations, and not denying all their opinions. Like people want to freak out on Gen Z all the time, and it's like, bro, no younger generation likes the older generations. That's not how humans work. We always hate it. Fuck you, man. Your music sucks. Whatever, you know what I mean? Hey. Like that's fine, that's normal, but like let's remind them that they are amazing. They're a gift just to be here, not because they're them, just because they're alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is old philosophy too, by the way. So back in the days of Aristotle, they were saying the same thing, right? So our generation is always wiser than the previous generation, right? And less wise than the generation preceding or after us, right? Like it's always in the chain, right? They're out of touch. They don't know what the hell's going on. The guys behind us, they don't know what's up, right? Because they don't know anything about anything. And that's why I don't like general terms, like generalizing in anything. And so again, right, so think about it this way. This is the craziest part about all this, right? You can break down all of this like division, hatred, and politics and the media and all the stuff I'm always talking about to like, okay, well, race, right? All right, fine, sure, fine. Horrific to judge anybody by any terms like that, okay? But then, that's verboten. You can't do that, all right? And I agree, it's horrific. But I also agree that judging people by any metric like that in large groups is horrific no matter what. But it's become acceptable for one generation to malign the next and be like, oh, the boomers don't know shit about shit. They're the ones who got us in this mess. It's like, wait, what? Like, also, without the boomers, you weren't fucking born. So why don't you shut your fucking mouth, you know? Like, it's like a whole second thing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like a division in so many aspects of the entire thing that some division is okay and some division is not. and value judgments. And this is what I'm saying. This is why we can't have nice things, Dre. I appreciate you very much. You are on point, and you are challenging me in ways that I need to hear. And go right ahead, my friend.
I'm sorry. Am I taking up too much time?
Hell no. If you got this is what the third hour is for, honestly. If you got things to say. If you guys want to join us, 702-957-1037, click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. We're here with Dre in South Carolina. We're just talking. That's what this is about. This is about talking. Okay. You got some time tonight. You're into it. You're fired up. Let's talk. We got Daryl is in here with us as well. If you want to mix her in, let's do it. Let's get Daryl in here. But go ahead. Go. What's on your mind? We're still talking to you. We'll get Daryl in just a moment. And we got Jennifer's got fires in the chat. Fires in the chat. So go right ahead, Dre.
My thought was, okay, to touch on the race thing, right? Like, no, of course, talking about any singular race in any sort of general terms is not okay. However, I don't think it's actually fair to compare racial communities to different generations. I don't, because
isn't it? Wait.
Oh,
hold on.
Man.
It is bigotry just the same, though. It's just the same.
I don't really think so, man. I don't. I'm going to try to put my words together in order to explain why.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to let you make the case, but let me tell you this, right? As we're told, we're supposed to judge people as individuals. Period. Right? Not see them for the color of their skin, for their socioeconomics, not see them for their age, not see them for their sexual orientation, not see them for anything other than as individuals. And that's the way I see it. And so literally, like, if you're any of those things, like check whatever box, this box, the other box, and you're an asshole, to me, you're just still an asshole, right? No matter what, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how gay or straight or brown or white or any of that. I don't care how any of that you are. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. And that's just the way I see it. And so bigotry...
I agree with you on that.
Bigotry is also, there's a thing called ageism. So I'm just saying. So, like, explain to me how maligning generations is okay. And you see what I did there? It's a trap.
No, that's not what I said.
Don't
put words in my mouth.
It's a trap.
Don't put words in my mouth.
It's a trap, Dre.
Don't put words in my mouth.
I just said a trap.
Don't put words in my mouth. I did not say maligning generations is okay.
Right,
I did not say that.
I know you didn't.
Okay.
I set a trap for you.
Okay.
That was bush league to me. I'm sorry.
Don't do that. I don't like it. Okay.
I know. It was bush league. I agree. Go right ahead.
What I'm saying is that in the United States, you cannot conflate racism with ageism. You cannot. Considering where our country was founded from, considering the... Oh, man, what's the word? Oh, I'm losing my words right now. Considering the institutional racism that is in effect in our country, you cannot conflate racism and the institutionalized systems that are in place with ageism for boomers. You can't do that.
Okay,
that's not the same.
But to me, boomer is a slur.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, boomer is a slur compared to the N-word.
No, I didn't equate the two and say they were equal. I said it's a slur.
Okay, this might be where you and me finally disagree, because I just don't see okay boomer as being anything similar to a racial slur. I don't see that.
Okay,
I don't see that at all.
All right, so should you discount what somebody says just because they're a boomer?
No, I don't call people boomers, just like I don't call people N-words. I don't call people from other nationalities any of their slurs either. I don't do that.
Neither do I.
But what I'm saying is, like, you can't conflate the racism that exists in our country and the discriminatory policies in our country with the supposed ageism that boomers want to frickin' call on right now. You know what I mean?
No, but one doesn't exist without the other. They all exist. And so
come on, man. No, one doesn't exist without the other. You're saying racism doesn't exist without ageism? That's bullshit.
Wait, what? No, I'm saying...
racism doesn't exist without ageism? That's bullshit.
No, it's not bullshit. Oh, okay, look, I'm not sure why you're fired up. Look, Look,
I'm fired up mainly because all of our like senators and most of our congressmen are all people that are well into their 50s to 80s,
and they're
controlling
assholes.
our country.
And they're assholes.
That's ridiculous to me right now. The fact that we have so many old people running our country when the majority of our country is not that age group. That infuriates me in general. I'm sorry. I'm going off topic.
No, that's the class of assholes. This is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter to me if they're 30 or they're 70. If they're doing the things they're doing, they're still assholes. You get what I'm saying? So my point is, right, making judgment calls on literally discrimination, like in a hierarchy of this is the worst discrimination, this is the best discrimination. It's all discrimination. And so my point in saying that one doesn't exist without the other is because it's all discrimination. That's my point. Not saying trying to equate them and measure them and trying to calculate and the abacus and all the things and saying one's better or worse than the other. I'm saying it's all discrimination. That's what I'm saying.
Bring out the abacus and tell me how boomers are discriminated against.
Have you ever been a boomer trying to get a job?
What job?
Any job. Are you serious?
What do you mean?
Are you serious? I'm confused. I'm confused. What do you have against boomers, by the way?
I don't have anything against boomers. I just want to know how they're discriminated against.
By the mere fact of people maligning them as a generational thing, calling them boomers, is discrimination. It's crazy to me that you don't see that.
Called boomers. No, just I'm asking a question just to kind of gain some information here. So the fact that they're called boomers means they're discriminated against. What are they denied in society from that discrimination?
All kinds of things. Are you serious that they get everything just like, I don't know, I might. I'm not a boomer. Okay, so there's all really? You're going to make me list all the things? Clearly, there's a ton of things.
Give me a handful. Give me a handful.
Clearly, jobs, obviously, meaning that, okay, let's say you got a pool of job applicants and you've got 20 people and you get maybe, let's say, 15 of them are age, 25 to 45, and then the rest of them are 65 plus. And right, you would expect that the 65 plus might have some experience and all the rest of this, but they're also not very good at computers, by the way, because they weren't born in a computer generation. So we live in a computer world, so the younger generation for sure is going to run circles around them regarding computers. But interpersonal skills and the rest of this, maybe not. It depends. It depends on, again, as individuals, right? So in that particular instance, it is discrimination. It is. I'm sorry you disagree. It is.
Ageism, or is it lack of education?
You're cutting out, Dre. You're cutting out.
I'm sorry, my phone. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I think we have gone so far off the beaten path.
I was saying, is that ageism or?
We're off the rails. We're off the rails. But no, go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought. We'll get Daryl in here. Daryl's been waiting a long time too. Go right ahead though. Finish your thought.
I was asking, is that ageism or is that just a lack of education in our current technological society? Is the pool of applicants really about ageism, or is it about the pool of applicants, some of them not being qualified to work in our current state of technology that our society has grown to?
It's all of those
things. Is that ageism, or is it not a lack of education?
All of those things. It's all of those things, Trey. It's all of those things.
But if you're an older person and you wanted to keep up with the young applicants, why would you not just educate yourself on the new technologies?
Because maybe you don't have access. Maybe it's prohibitively difficult to you because you don't get like the concept of like a double click and the right click and this window or that window. Like when you don't grow up with a computer, it takes you probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times longer to learn some of those like neat tricks all of us younger people know. And I say younger, I don't even know if I'm younger than you, and it doesn't matter, by the way. So point being, like I'm a little older, but I've been working with computers for a very long time and I'm very adept at this. But it doesn't mean anything. I'm an individual, right? I'm an individual, and that's the whole point. That's my whole point here. Any of the rest of this trying to I don't know. We're off the rails. It's okay. This is for Go ahead. Look, I disagree. We can agree to disagree.
Okay.
You want to call people boomers? I don't.
No.
That.
That's not. But that wasn't my point. That wasn't my point. Though I'm saying that if someone of an older age wants to apply for jobs that younger people are also applying for, they should have a list of the same qualifications for it. If they don't have the qualifications, then no, you're not appropriate for the job. That has nothing to do with age. That has to do with your qualifications.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It's not about age. That's where I was disagreeing with about it being about an age.
Of course. Except also not, because. No, not. Literally, look, if there were like nice, accounting jobs for older people or whatever kind of thing you want to like say that, older people should be working in, then, look, and this is the thing. This is not a challenge I've been faced with, by the way. This is me trying to understand that there are a whole class of people all over the place in different walks of life that have different challenges. And to say that boomers don't have challenges, that seems absurd to me. Of course they do.
I didn't say that though.
Okay. So I'm confused why I'm saying boomers are discriminated against and you think they're not.
I was just asking how they're discriminated against. That's all I was asking. How they're discriminated against in real world situations.
It's all over the place.
That's all I was asking.
It's all over the place. Like again, if you want me to do a term paper and all the rest of this, I could do that. But you're smart enough to understand. No. You're smart enough to understand that clearly they are. It just depends. And again, it's all situational and it's all kind of foggy and it all is discrimination, by the way. And I'm just saying.
Okay.
And I'm just saying, there's a lot of people who had to retire early because they couldn't find jobs because of this COVID thing. There's a whole, that's a whole nother shit show in and of itself, right? So we're not even talking that. But I don't know. Like I said, we are so far off the rails here. Let's get to let's go to Daryl.
Hi, Michael.
Stay right
hey,
here.
I'm aging here. I'm aging here.
Hey, I'm aging here. Don't go anywhere, Dre. Stay right there. Go ahead, Daryl. Your thoughts on this? Go right ahead.
Well, actually, I was not to defend myself. I mean, I'm a boomer, and I'm pretty good on the computer, I must say. I think I could compete with anybody, but I think given the chance to hire me or somebody younger, I'm sure they would hire somebody younger, Yeah. I'm sure of that. But there's definitely a discrimination against age. The older you get, the less marketable you are. Probably less for our experience. I think our experience speaks for itself. But I think it's maybe their fear of us taking time off for our health issues. We definitely have more health issues than younger people. So, we might have time off to go to doctor visits or whatever, take care of a health issue. That would be probably the one thing that I could understand would be a hesitation to hire an older person. Is their attendance. But other than that, I think we're just as capable, if not, more capable, considering our experience. And I don't understand. I thought we are in a majority. I think a lot of people are in their, retirement age at this point. All the baby boomers are old now, So I think they're a majority of us. Kids, they were having kids left and right when I was born, So I think we're in a majority, actually. Anyway, just saying. I wanted to say the irony of making a perfect baby, going back to that subject. I think the ironic thing is, you're going to make a perfect baby, but do you know what the percentage of healthy babies are, or healthy children in our nation, and even worldwide?
I hope it's high.
It's declining so rapidly. I mean, I think it's 1 in 50. I was just looking up the statistics of healthy children in our country. There's the data, and you could do it by condition, you could do it by age, and also by cost. Let's say just maybe for children that have autism, let's say, maybe it's $61 to $66 billion a year for children. But once they become adults, it's $175 to $196 billion a year. So you're talking about, raising children that are injured with autism. And there's 1 in 56 children, 1 out of 56 has autism, I believe, right now. And that's really high. I might be incorrect, actually. But in any case, the health of our nation is going down so fast. And it's been going down for the last 50 years, I would say, since they started using additives in our food. They've, ecologically, there's pesticides, DDT, Monsanto. It's they use something until it makes everybody sick, and then they find out and then they stop, So the damage is done, we're already injured. And then the food additives and everything that's causing diabetes and, children with all kinds of learning disorders and allergies and obesity and diabetes. We're so sick. How are we're gonna create the perfect adult, the perfect child, but then we're gonna screw them up with all these medications. More children are on medication right now than ever have been. So you're giving them prescription drugs. You're giving them something that rhymes with vaccines, and multiple ones, and they're getting injured very early in the game. So what if you make a perfect human? You're just gonna screw them up, with babies, I don't know what the point is. We're just going to.
Well, what if you edited into their genomes those the things you were rhyming with the V words?
Yeah.
What if you edited those into their genome and they were naturally immune? Because those CRISPR babies in China, they said they were naturally immune, and I say naturally, let's say in parentheses, naturally immune to HIV.
Right.
Because they edited their genome to actually be resistant to that thing, and so that's the question, right? So if the vaccine itself is in your genome, then then I agree with Dre there. But again,
in
right?
10 years, you're going to wind up with the side effect that they didn't anticipate. I mean, how can something go wrong, right?
Well, exactly. How could this go wrong? Exactly, and I think that's part of the conversation here is we still regarding these technologies, we don't know where this leads. Like, what happens, right? Is this a fertility problem down the road? Like, who knows what actually happens? You don't know. You don't know until you do 2, 3, 4, 5 generations of this type of stuff, and it becomes prevalent in the population. Then things may be like, oh shit, how did we get here, right? Because you didn't think about what you didn't think about. That's all. So anyway. And by the way, so you guys know, Dre too. This is I want you to understand. I know you've listened to us long enough. This is not a zero sum game. This is not about somebody wins and somebody loses. It's about hearing what people have to say. So yeah. Anything on that, Dre? If you're still here with I didn't check. Let's see, with Daryl. Anything for Daryl there?
You fine?
Sorry, I'm still here. I agree that CRISPR babies could turn out to be something that we're not expecting. Of course, I do think that there's been a lot of research into HIV and how HIV was retermed. It wasn't always known as HIV. It was known as another acronym that I can't remember right now. About shoot. Oh man, it was back when it blew up in the 70s or 80s in the gay community. They called it something else, and then it got turned into HIV.
Not AIDS, right?
But it's not. No, there was a different term for it. It was before.
I know
AIDS.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was before that. It was termed something else, and that it wasn't necessarily understood how it became a thing, and that it actually the research has shown it wasn't just a blood. It wasn't passed on through just blood contact. It was through partying, through your immune system being lowered, and it was immunodeficiency disease. That's where AIDS came from, but it was known as something else before that. And then a lot of these gay communities that were getting it, they were partying all the time, and it was the people that were kind of abusing drugs and not taking care of themselves in that lifestyle, and that's kind of where it came from. So if it's like, I'm not understanding really how babies could be born with a defense against the HIV, considering that it didn't really come from necessarily a virus or anything kind of specific. It was that's what the study I read was about. Am I making sense? I'm sorry. Daryl, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to remember what they. I don't remember what they called it. I know what you're talking about. I know that they had incubated a lot of our vaccines in these chimpanzees from Africa with this, and they had this simian virus that was in the polio shots. That gave people polio, and I think it gave us HIV also. There's something, there's talk about that. There was research done about that. I'm sure it's been kind of hushed up.
Okay.
Every time they made it.
Let's not.
Anyway, I want to talk about that.
Just real quick. Continue, please, but please don't get our channel taken down.
Yeah, all right, we won't go there. But no, I know what she's talking about.
Dance around it. Just dance around it. We can talk about it.
There's ways around that. I kind of disagree because babies were born with it, so they weren't partying on, heavy drugs. A lot of people didn't party on heavy drugs, but there is a theory about that too. My neighbor was so sure that that's what they used to do poppers. And he used to work in a porno theater that they used to, gay men used to go to in the 70s, and they would do poppers, and they would be littered all over the floor. He was convinced that that's what caused it. But that's a theory, it's one theory. I don't think it's been proven. Anyway. But, I don't know. There's always repercussions anytime you experiment with anything. And I'm not so sure it's a great idea, because who knows if you're going to be breeding somebody without a soul. What if you breed out that humanness part of the human, if you tinker so much that they don't have any conscience, you know what I mean? Maybe they could learn things, but they don't have any, they're like soulless, a person without a soul.
Do you think that would be possible to have a baby born without a soul, without a consciousness?
Sure. If they genetically rearrange them that much, it could happen. Who knows, Maybe there's a DNA part of our soul, that's embedded in us. That's part of our DNA.
I think it's within the realm of possibility. Again, right? Like imagine if
thought.
you... Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's an interesting thought to think that... whatever kind of combination of DNA could be made into a human without a consciousness, because that also brings up the question of where does our consciousness come from? Does it come from our DNA, or does it come from the life that is born from that DNA?
We can't even understand consciousness. Does it continue after death? That's the biggest question. What happens after we die? Does our consciousness remain? A lot of people believe that, we can only hope. I
guess the other question would be, where is our consciousness before we're born? Where does it come from? How does it exist within our bodies that we know that we have now?
Exactly.
Not necessarily what happens after we die, but I mean, how did it ever get to be in our bodies to begin with?
Exactly. I don't know if we were spliced in from a lab,
Yeah.
Were you spliced in from a lab?
Could be,
No.
We don't even know, We don't know. The Great Reset, I'm just questioning this Great Reset again. It's talking about this, like, has it been, 4,000 years or 400 years? How often does this occur? Or, we're heading towards one, and what's going to be the result,
Yeah. Just a real quick interject there. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that tinkering with our molecular structure would affect the consciousness or the soul or the psyche or whatever you want to say, right? Because right now they're literally creating human animal hybrids in laboratories. So the question becomes, right? And I know, I love animals, and I'm not saying animals don't have souls, but I'm saying, when you're talking about human consciousness, when you start tinkering with things in a lab, how much does it affect that process? And again, it's a generational thing. We probably won't have any fucking idea until 5 or 6 or 7 generations down the road, till we've already gone down the wrong road. And I don't even know it's the wrong road. You may be right, Trey. Maybe this is the way to go. Our old co-host, by the way, Frank, without divulging information about him, he agreed. He was like, hey, let's skip this evolution shit and let's just get in the lab and make this shit right now, let's not wait. We're not waiting for anything. If we have the technology now, let's do this shit now. All mistakes included, let's just step on the fucking gas and let's make these things right. All the wrongs, again, like you said, all the genetic diseases, all the wrong things that are wrong, let's fucking make them right, because we can. And just the consequences be damned. And I agree, but also I have trepidation. That's all, right? Again, I have no firm commitment on this because I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I just wonder what happens when it becomes prevalent in a community. That's all, right? That's all. And again, remember, this is not a zero-sum game. It's not about being right or being wrong. It's just about talking and respecting each other.
I think we should pay attention to make ourselves healthy while we're alive, rather than worrying about making a perfect human. I think we've got to tackle our health. It should be a priority. It should be the first priority, and total transparency as well when in regards to our health. I think that it's being thrown to the wind, and it's being decided on upon some very wealthy people that we didn't elect. What we do with our health.
We didn't.
For sure, no, for sure. But then, where does it end? Okay, I have a question. If we're considering that CRISPR could get rid of these genetic diseases, right? Why would it be so against what society's morals are to continue stem cell research when most of the stem cell research is from abortions or whatever babies or stem cells that were born in like the 70s or not born in the 70s? Why is that research stopped, considering how much stem cell research has helped current living humans that are alive today?
I think it should be continued. That would be a very important way of research, as long as they have the availability of donations, of willing donors.
I'll tell you, I know a little bit about that, by the way. So stem cells in particular are so you're talking about fetal stem cells, and what ends up happening is when you take these and you let's say I blow my shoulder out, all right, doing some sports injury, and you're like, okay, we're going to take these fetal stem cells from this procedure, whatever, and I want to get into that discussion tonight. It's way too late for that right now, but let's say we do, and we put that, and we're like, okay, if we put these stem cells in these fetal stem cells in Mike's shoulders, it will connect whatever broken tissue is broken. But also, by the way, what people don't tell you is that everything seems to be also, again, as always, political and all the rest of this, and kind of what would you say, propagandist, in that the stem cell procedures like that tend to grow. And you'll never believe this. Look it up yourself. I'll get you the term in just a sec. But let's say you put these fetal stem cells in my shoulder to fix my broken shoulder. It will fix it. Right. But also, by the way, that new tissue in my shoulder that grew may also grow hair. It may grow, I'm not shitting you, may grow little pieces of teeth. May grow,
my God!
I'm not kidding you.
Right.
I'm not kidding you.
Yeah,
this is a real thing, and so this is what I'm saying. Yes, it's called. It starts with an M, I think. I'm gonna get the term. It's coming to me. But this is my point. It's like if you're doing these things, and clearly, taking my own stem cells from my cheek and then growing tissue and then putting it in myself, it's different. It's different. That's different. Exactly. And so you cannot, my point is with that whole fetal stem cell thing, is you cannot control the stem cells to create exactly what you want them to control, because they're programmed to be a particular thing. And a fetus, it's tiny. When we're talking about so if you scrape some cells, you're scraping some teeth cells and some brain cells and some this cells and some that cells, and then you're slapping them on my shoulder. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's an ugly side to this that never comes to light, and this is the fact. This is the fact of it. I'm going to get you the term in just a sec, but it's true. This is 100% true. I promise you, I'm not making this up. And this is why
you develop a consciousness of an unborn child, what if that kind of assimilates with you,
or share it,
so that you have this conflicting, conflicting other consciousness inside of you, like another twin or something. Like some really insane stuff, Imagine that.
Yep. I'm gonna get you the term. I can't remember the term off the top of my head, but it's a thing. Let's see. Anyway. So go ahead. We're about getting down to the end here, so we don't have all night, but nobody tells us when to stop. So if you guys got things to say, I'm definitely with you. I'm not scared, and I'm not going anywhere. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I think the idea of I think the idea is plausible and possible if done with the utmost care, and that's the research has to be done, and the side effects you have to research. I mean, there's so many repercussions, like you just mentioned, that can occur with this kind of tinkering. It's how you tinker and what you tinker with. I mean, if it's like something simple, I don't see why not. I mean, if it's something like intelligence, why not give somebody a phenomenal IQ if it's possible? Give them intelligence, and can you give them empathy? Can you give them, there's a lot about it doesn't go anywhere without a soul either, you know. So what if, you know, that's the kind of thing that could go wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely agree that more empathy in the world would be an amazing thing. But when it comes to stem cell research, I'm kind of on the fence of being like, since the research was halted and since it wasn't allowed to continue to learn further, then of course there's going to be side effects that we weren't able to predict if they're still used without the proper research done with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if the research was allowed to continue, if that leg of science was allowed to go into learning how to use these stem cells and how to use them properly and how to use them in specific circumstances in order to correct difficulties that people have or medical problems that people have right now correctly, then why would we not do that when these stem cells aren't already being used for anything other than what they could be used for? If that fetus was not allowed to develop into an actual human life, then take that opportunity to learn as much as you can from it. I don't understand why that was ever stopped to begin with.
George Bush, I think, stopped it. I don't know why it wasn't picked up after he left office, though.
The pro-lifers kind of stopped that just to begin with. So that's, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's this little pea-sized clump of cells was determined to be not viable for research for whatever reason.
Right. I agree, though. I think it should have been continued.
It depends, though. Like I said, I can't find the damn. I'm looking for the damn term. I can't find it. But I'm telling you, there are issues with it that have not been publicized at all. I promise you this.
Sure.
I'll find it. Find it. I can't remember the name.
God,
it's on the tip of my tongue. It starts with an M. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember the name of it. But my whole point is that, like, the thing is that there are not just, like, you know, let's say this small group of people. There are actual ethical concerns regarding this, right? Actual scientific ethical concerns, because there are things that happen with these stem cell sort of situations that are not predictable. And that's what I'm saying, right? And so if we're just kind of rolling the dice and, like, throwing some cells at, like, a broken shoulder, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way to really know exactly what happens if it's not well contained. And again, if it's anyway, I'll find that for you. I promise I'll find that for you guys. I promise you. I don't have it right now. I'm searching. I can't do too much at the same time because I'm already, like, all this in my head and trying to, like, listen to you guys and have an actual conversation. I could tune out for 20 minutes and come back, but that's not okay by me. So I will find this for you. I promise you. I'll share you this information because it's a real thing. I promise you. It's not just a right-wing Bible thumper sort of situation where they're saying no, stop. That exists, yes, but there's also some actual, like, scientific things that it's, like, pretty concerning with the things we're talking about. That's all I want to say. I'll find you this. I promise you.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you in that there are concerns and there are considerations that should be taken into account for, and that kind of brings it back to the whole CRISPR situation. And yes, there are concerns that should be taken into account for. However, isn't science all about pushing the boundaries? Isn't that what CERN does all the time with their stupid collider that discovered the Higgs boson particle? Isn't that what we're already doing? And if it could benefit human life in a positive way and not just be like, oh, let's do this shit just to see what the hell could happen. If it could actually heal people and let them lead a happier, more fulfilled life, then let's continue that research instead of just throwing together particles in this massive collider that could possibly rip apart the universe. Let's take the money from that shit and let's put it towards letting people heal themselves and letting people live a better life.
Trey, if I ever run for senator, will you work with me?
Hell yes. Hell yes. I've already been told once I should go into politics. Right. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And I'm not going to, by the way. I'm not going to. But let's say in a hypothetical multiverse world, maybe I do. And would you work with me? I would be very, very honored if you would, because this is part of the point, right? We're different, and it's good. It's good. It's good.
I love having different opinions from other people, and I love talking about these things, and I love debating all of the different nuances of all of these different subjects, because man, if we all thought the same, how boring would that be? It's like you said earlier, it would be boring as fuck. Let's not do that. Let's look at these things from all different kinds of perspectives, from all different walks of life, and then let's come together, gather all of those different perspectives, and come up with something that benefits everyone. Let's come up with an idea that can just help everyone in life, and not just make some people that usually have the money feel better about them having money and live their better life. Let's help everyone, dude. Because no one has fucking money anymore, man. Like, everyone's freaking broke. Everyone's struggling. Everyone's having a hard time. So you know what? Let's help everyone out, dude.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. Slam dunk and rattle the rim. Yeah, and shit's breaking off the rails, and don't get me started on rents and economy and all that. Boy, that's like a close list of taxes and healthcare. If you're talking, yeah.
Man, I just figured out what my tax rate would be this year, and I want to vomit and I want to punch through my phone all the time.
Yeah, see?
Like, I swear to God, dude.
And check this out. By the way. Just to really make you break 3 more phones tonight, if you have them laying around, your current phone and your old phones, if you still got them, just break all of them. By the way, our politicians absolutely have no budget. They just spend whatever the fuck they want. Like, we can't do that, right? We're literally limited by, you can only like put a roof over your head and the food you eat type of shit, right? But then these motherfuckers are just printing money like it's going out of style. So, hey, if that's the case, why aren't you printing money and giving it to us? We still got to pay our bullshit taxes, and these fuckers don't have any kind of accountability at all. Don't get me started. Don't even get me started on taxes and healthcare, because I'm telling you what, we are being fucking robbed.
But dude, you got a $1,200 check, man. Like, isn't that enough to pay for all of your stuff?
Oh, for the 2 years of lockdown, $1,200 will cover it. Thanks.
$1,200, that'll totally do it, man. That's enough, right? That's
by
enough,
the way,
right? Totally
by the
live
way,
off that, right?
Yes, exactly. And by the way, this March, coming up next week, sometime-ish or so, is the 2-year anniversary of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Oh, yeah, right? Let's celebrate, right?
The 2-year anniversary of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Don't get me started. Don't get me. Don't get me.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Don't get me started. I'm about to rage. I'm about to just start flipping. I'm gonna go Alex Jones. I'm gonna take off my shirt and start screaming. Don't make me do it.
Don't go Hulk. Don't go Hulk, bro. Don't go Hulk.
I'm not doing it.
Don't do it.
I'm not doing it. All right. So all right. So as we finish, this is the thing, right? This is literally why we've always ever done this. Is to get people like Dre's, to get people like Daryl's, to get people like every other nice individual. I was about to say every other motherfucker that called tonight in the nicest way, but it didn't come out that way. So I'm gonna because it's more funny when I say that. But what I mean is, because so many brilliant people, so many brilliant takes, all walks of life, and that's the whole point, right? We're different. But there's strength and diversity, and I mean it. And so many people use it as a political tagline, or want to do all these other things with it. And I'm just, look, hey, we're different, and it's good, and we should celebrate that, and we should talk, and we should find ways to get along, find reasons to accept each other instead of the opposite. That's all. It's a simple concept, and it's flawed. I get it. Because guess what? Every concept in and of itself is flawed because it's a concept. But if you're going to say that concept with me is flawed and Mike, step off, fine. I'm flawed. I'm going to live with that and be flawed that way. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. I'm going to go down with that ship. But this is what it's about. Again, think about it, right? Why else do you make a fucking talk show if you don't want to talk to people? Right? I mean, I'm not scared. You guys are the best.
Are what make us perfect, homie.
You guys are the best. Again, thank you so much for, spending your time with us, spending your fiery energy, for making points, for talking, for considering, for just, there's so much here that this is one night. And this is why we do this, because, God willing, we've got tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Let's keep on doing it. Stay strong, guys. Keep thinking. Keep finding reasons to love each other instead of the opposite. I think it's an important concept here, and I'm going down with that ship. I'm sorry. We're just
right on.
We're just doing it.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate you.
Pleasure is 100% mine. Thank you so much. Final thoughts from you guys before we get the hell out of here. We got Dre and we're here with Dre and Daryl. Dre in South Carolina, Daryl in New York, and me in Las Vegas. I'm me, you're you. Together we're us. Final thoughts, ladies, and let's get the hell out of here.
Well, we could change the world.
Right? Margaret Mead. Yes.
Margaret Mead. That's my favorite.
Yes, indeed. I'll read that in a sec. Go right ahead, Dre.
Okay, my bad. I would say that every perspective is valid, and the most wise man will turn his eye to the future instead of looking to the past in order to learn how to live a better life.
All right.
It's all about perspective, guys. It's all about perspective.
I love it. I love it. 100%. 100%. And that's what this is about. It's about sharing those perspectives. All right, let's do it. I'm going to smash the button and smash this button so you guys can hear the music. I'm going to wait for the bass to drop before I do the thing. That's where we go. Thank you again. Special thanks to Dre for hanging out with us and spending so much time. Like I said, the most important thing with all of this is spending your time and spending your energy. Thinking, considering, learning, growing. It's what this is all about. Thank you for spending that time and sharing your energy and your fire and your passion. I appreciate that very much. Everybody else as well. All you other motherfuckers out there, you too. You see what happens when you have a goodwill for so long. You can say shit like that and get away with it, because I haven't been trying to stomp on anybody, but all you motherfuckers out there, you know what I'm saying. It goes a little something like this as we finish, and you guys know I love you. I'm just kidding, and I mean that in the best way. It goes like this, right? This is from Daryl. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Thanks again to Daryl. Thanks again to Dre. Thank you guys so much for sharing your passion, your energy, your ideas, your time. It's critical. It's important. People need to hear this stuff, and I'm honored. I'm blessed, and our cup runneth over. Thank you from Troubled Minds Nation. Thank you from Michael Strange, myself, and hell yeah. Looking forward to more of this tomorrow, the next day, God willing. So as we finish, it goes a little something like this. If you want to help the show, if you like these types of conversations, a free range, again, like non-linear, open-ended, wherever the fuck it goes, third hours, what the fuck ever happens is where we go, and that's what happens. That's fine. That's why we do a third hour, because it's less restricted. No commercial time, we just go. A conversation is a conversation. I'm calling this the Great Conversation, not because I'm great, but because you're great. Because I'm me, you're you, together we're us. And as we finish, if you want to help the show one more time, Rockfin, you can sub up. You can sub up on Patreon. You can sub up on Twitch. If you don't want to spend any money and you love the show, spread the word. Old school, grassroots, spread the word works, and it beats the algorithms. And of course, listen to the podcast feed, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It will actually send a few cents my way each time you listen to one of those. So there you go. Easiest ways. Appreciate you very much. Each and every one of you. I see we have so many people downloading podcasts out there. It's crazy. The reach of this show is just going off the chain. And thanks for understanding and considering and just learning with the rest of us. That's what we're all here to do. So as we finish, ladies, anything real quick before I do my outro? They probably bounced. No, they're here. All right, we'll do it. It goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.